pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast with Roger and Friends on this Tuesday, the 23rd of June. I would say good morning, Teri Chamberlain. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
And Michael Olson, our Tuesday morning sports guy. Good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning to both of you and to our fine listeners.
Yes. To everybody, far and wide, including on YouTube, and we're alive and well on YouTube, and that's good news as well. You know, hockey season is over. Are you bored now?
Well, I tell you, I get into baseball pretty good.
Yes,
I
know
enjoyed
you do,
watching the White Sox last night.
Yeah. Well, you did watch. Were they playing Detroit?
Cleveland.
The Cleveland,
They
okay.
were one game behind Cleveland in the AL East, and they ended up beating Cleveland last night. I call him a local kid. I've seen him since he was in high school. A young man by the name of Sam Antonacci. Out of Springfield Griffin High School, Springfield, Illinois. Drove in they were down 5-4, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, and he's just a rookie. Was called up in May. He went to Heartland 2 years, junior college.
He did.
And then he went to Coastal Carolina, which is a pretty good school. And
good baseball
school.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to name it, right? And he singled up the middle, and the 2 runs scored on it was a play that was contested at the plate and challenged.
It was a close play. Was he out? Or was he safe?
Safe.
And so the White Sox
snagged victory from the jaws of defeat.
Antonacci, I'm familiar with that name. He had a next-door neighbor, Bob, a pharmacist.
That's a common name in Central Illinois.
It is common, really?
Italian, probably some up in Toluca, if the truth is known too. Antonacci.
Have you gotten used to calling Cleveland the Guardians over the Indians? Me either.
Not at all.
You know, what is wrong? What is racist about saying the Cleveland Indians? I just don't understand that.
Would you be opposed if they said the Peoria Monroes are going to be the new football team in Peoria or something?
I'd be excited.
You'd be excited.
Yeah.
You sure? It's an honor.
Yeah, I don't understand, and you know, people bought into that quote movement, and it didn't do a thing, didn't move the needle one way or the other, to tell you the truth. But the people who demonstrated and yelled and hollered and so forth, they went away saying, boy, we sure took care of those.
I feel the same thing. You can't even name half the schools in Peoria right now, right off the top of your head.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the middle schools.
Somebody said, how can they do that? And I said, because they have the votes.
They got the votes, and they do it.
That's
but what I'm saying is,
game.
If you tell somebody where I can't, you know,
I
call them by the old name.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can give them direction.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
You know, as a matter of fact, I'm surprised they haven't tried to change the name for the White Sox. You know, White Sox, that might be a little on the racist side instead of Dirty Sox. Which is more accurate, I think.
The Black Soxes one time during the scandal.
Yeah, do you remember that big? What was that in the 1917s? Is that
somewhere around there?
Around when they had the scandal?
They threw the World Series.
The Black Sox. Yeah, and of course Pete Rose still isn't in the Hall of Fame, for gambling, and yet sports. Supports gambling. They're running commercials during events. During the game. Yeah. But Pete Rose, he was bad because he bet on the games, and he always bet on his team. And I guess that was
he has like 4,000.
That was evil.
He's got 4,600 and some hits. Closest one is about 1,000 away.
However, I'm not a totally big Pete Rose fan because he. In an all-star game where you're supposed to be having fun, decked a defenseless catcher and ruined his career, as a matter of fact. It was never the same.
Couldn't throw anymore.
You remember his name, the catcher's name?
The Marion Mule from Marion, Illinois, Ray Fosse.
Ray Fosse, Fosse, I believe how it's spelled. And he was never the same after that. Charlie Hustle. Interesting story. Charlie wound up, because of his gambling, going to the penitentiary, all places where Ray Fosse was from, Marion, Illinois.
Justice was prevailed.
And the guy who handled his admission was a Peoria attorney who was serving time there as well. You remember his name? Paul Cation.
Paul Cation.
And when he met Paul Cation, they had a conversation, allegedly, and Pete asked, where are you from and what are you in for? He said, I'm from Peoria, Illinois, and I'm in for some charges regarding my law practice. And he said, from Peoria, Illinois, did you know Pete Van Auken? He said, sure, I knew him. Everybody knew Pete Van Auken.
And you know where that connection started, too?
Where?
When Peoria Sunday Morning League used to always have a very big banquet, one of the bigger sports banquets in the city, to honor their award winners and their league champion, you know, in November or early December of every year. And it was held usually at the Exposition Gardens. And one year Harold Lintz and the boys, we got Lou Williams, they got not Bruce Sowers, but Eddie Sowers.
Eddie Sowers, right. He had a cigar box.
Yeah, oh yeah.
How they got their donations from the fans.
But they got Pete. Pete was the guest speaker, and I'm not going to get all the details, but I can tell you this: Pete was his host.
Pete Van Auken.
At the Hyatt Lodge, and he stayed at the Hyatt Lodge, and he also, of course, ate at Van Auken Junction.
Yeah. Interestingly, I guess when he came to town, he being Pete Rose, he went to the Windjammer. Was that the one on University?
Yeah.
Run by, not by Pete, but was it?
Guess who probably took him?
Rocky?
Yes. I'd say Pete took him there.
Yeah. Well, no, he came there looking for Pete.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, he said, I'll meet you at the Windjammer, whatever. And he arrived there, and Pete had not
shown up yet.
Exactly right. Wonderful stories, you know.
I would say early 70s, probably. My guess would be about 72 or 73.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember at the All-Star game later after he had retired and so forth, they had one of their talking female heads, very well known, and so well known I've forgotten her name. And at the game, she, who knew very little about sports, but very attractive, and that helped qualify her for the big bucks she was making, and she asked Pete, why did you decide to gamble on the game? And he said, I came here to watch the game, not to talk about me and what I did, good or bad.
Didn't do.
And he walked away from her. She was standing there cross-legged.
Yeah, he was a man of his conviction.
Yeah, no question. And let's get in, and we're kind of talking news, so let's get into the news. All right, let's take a check of the weather. The weather this morning brought to you by Mr. Weather, Kyle Varnold of Fortner Insurance. Kyle, you know, is an insurance professional, and he can review, if you would like, your insurance portfolio of coverage for home, auto, life, and health to make sure you're getting what you're paying for. And he does this at no charge, a free service. And you can talk to Kyle. He's an easy guy to talk with at 309-682-0519. That's 682-0519. Well, we can tell you that it'll be sunny and pleasant today with a high around 80. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 60. Tomorrow, partly sunny with possible showers and thunder boomers after 3 tomorrow afternoon. The high tomorrow, 82. And tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low 62. Thursday, sunny and 82. And Friday, partly sunny, afternoon showers and thunderstorms, and a high near 80. Got a mild temperatures this week in central Illinois. Right now, our temperature at 57 degrees, and that's your live weather report. Now let's get into the news, and Terry, you have our lead story. Good morning.
Good morning. Peoria City Council members tonight will discuss a proposal from the city's police department to hire 6 unarmed community service members to patrol the downtown area at an annual cost of $500,000. The personnel would have no police powers, no weapons, and no authority to make arrests. They would monitor potential trouble spots and incidents and provide information to police. An interesting proposal worthy of additional consideration.
And they'll probably have some additional conversation tonight, no question about it. A late story from Peoria Police following a shooting last Saturday shortly before 3 a.m. in the morning. Officers responded to a 14-round shot spotter alert in the area of Sheridan and McClure. They found nothing at the scene, but Learned later a man went to a local hospital by car complaining, and I guess he was complaining, of a gunshot wound to the leg. He'll recover as police seek the gunman's identity.
They're still talking in Switzerland about terms to end the war between the United States and Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance is back in the States after attending one day of talks in Lucerne. President Trump has warned Iranian officials to get serious.
Get serious.
That's right. Meanwhile, Israel is showing concern since they are not part of the ongoing discussions. We'll talk at 8:15 this morning with Fishkin, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria.
In national news, 5 people are arrested and charged with vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. More arrests are possible. President Trump authorized spending over $14 million to clean up the pool after years of neglect. Doesn't matter to political vandals who've threatened to do more damage as the country celebrates, or tries to, its 250th anniversary.
Tucker Carlson, once the darling of Fox News until he was fired 3 years ago, says he's quitting the Republican Party. Carlson has made a living with his podcast, but that could be in danger after he renounced the GOP, who helped him achieve some degree of popularity. Carlson made the announcement last Thursday, but no one seemed to know or care until Kamala Harris campaign workers announced it on their website. Carlson wrongly predicted Trump would lose his 2016 election bid because thousands of Republicans were going to vote for Bernie Sanders.
The Federal Food and Drug Administration has announced the recall of more than 11,000 bottles of a blood pressure medicine, clothianidine. Officials said the medication failed dissolution specifications. Simply put, the pill didn't dissolve properly. That's an easy way of putting it. Dr. Sidler will join us 7:15 this morning to talk about the recall and others earlier this year, how and why it happens.
The former chairman of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan, has died at the age of 100. Greenspan, who is married to NBC reporter Andrea Mitchell, served on the board for 18 years.
Isn't that interesting? I wonder how many knew that his wife was an NBC TV anchor and news person.
I didn't.
I didn't know either until. Anyway, at last night's Peoria School District meeting, Superintendent Dr. Sharon Karat said her goodbyes. She's retiring after 11 years, starting in July of 2015 as superintendent. And Dr. Karat thanked everyone and said she's planning on remaining in Peoria. Interesting development. On the other side of the ledger, you might say, they had some expressions of negativity toward Demario Boone. He's chief of school resources, the officers of District 150, and he was heavily criticized for expressing support of convicted killer 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony. You know, Anthony stabbed to death a 17-year-old unarmed student, Austin Metcalf. He was found guilty. Boone allegedly blamed the dead teenager for his death. And some people took offense at it and expressed their thoughts as well. Let's look at some of the stories we're following. Now let's turn to news from WCBU, brought to you by Spoon River Home Health since 1993, providing home health care by caregivers who care, skilled nurses, therapists, and home care assistants, locally owned and operated. The good people of Spoon River Home Health, available 24/7 at 309-245-0723.
From the WCBU Newsroom, I'm Ryan Denham. Peoria Riverfront Museum President John Morris says their participation in the upcoming Great American State Fair in Washington is not intended to be political. The event in the National Mall is organized by the White House-backed Freedom 250 organization. Morris says the museum volunteered for Illinois when the state opted against having an official presence.
There was no partisan motive for doing it. There is only the motive of being proud of our state and wanting to represent it at the official celebration on the National Mall.
Morris says his understanding is that Illinois chose not to participate for budget reasons. Several other Democratic-led states have also declined. Morris says Peoria's exhibition will include a hologram of Abraham Lincoln. The 16-day celebration is set to begin Thursday. The Peoria Police Department is seeking approval to hire 6 civilian community service officers to increase the enforcement presence downtown. The City Council is expected to vote on that request at Tuesday night's meeting. The unarmed community service officers would focus on public safety and community services. Their combined salaries would total just over $500,000. Other items set to go before the council include a redevelopment agreement tied to the Keller Station Business District and final approval for a Dutch Bros coffee shop at the intersection of University Street and War Memorial Drive. The East Peoria Police Department is now operating out of its new headquarters on Camp Street. The transition into the $22 million two-story facility started Monday morning. The new building has more than 40,000 square feet of functional space, with upgraded technology and a dedicated community room. Beginning next Monday, police services will no longer be available at the Washington Street location. The doors have opened at Tazewell County's new $4 million animal control facility. Not for the animals being cared for by the county, they're coming soon, but for invited guests who toured the facility on the county's Tremont campus. The new facility is twice as big as the old one, and county officials say it's safer for animals and the staff because of a state-of-the-art ventilation system. Among the new facility's amenities are a veterinarian suite and dedicated spaces for adoption visits. Find more news at WCBU.org. I'm Ryan Denham.
Okay, Ryan, thanks for the update. And now an update in the world of sports. Here's Michael Olson. Good morning, Mike.
Thank you very much, Roger. Nice to be with you and Terry this morning. First of all, the World Cup is going on. That's FIFA. You know, I was just kind of thinking on the way in, everything has an acronym now. You know, where take the first letter. I think we'll probably have football somewhere in one of those F's. And I'm not sure what it totally stands for, but I would say...
Well, what's the acronym?
FIFA.
FIFA,
I believe. FIFA.
Future Farmers of America?
No,
That's
they sponsor the
How about 4-H?
The World Cup, so we've got soccer involved.
Yes.
Which don't forget now, the name for soccer in most of the world
Football.
is football. It is a football game.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
Kind of appropriately named,
I
really.
didn't. Well, you know, I spent a year and a half in Germany, and I had a hard time telling people football is a little different than kicking the ball.
In the United States, it sure is.
I lost the argument.
But my guess is maybe the Federation International of Football Associations.
Okay. That's as bad as any other.
Federation. It's definitely I believe I've heard it international is the I, and then football. One of the F's is definitely football. I'm going with the second one, and because that's what the sport is. They're pushing and promoting and have for many years. And I will say this: in the World Cup yesterday, Argentina
Yes.
won 2-0 over Austria. Well, you know, Austria is probably a little better in those winter sports, wouldn't you think?
Well, they hold their own in soccer or football.
2-0 against a good Argentinian team.
It's a beautiful country, I can tell you that. I managed to get there a couple times.
And Argentina is led by probably the most famous goal scorer right now in world soccer is a guy by the name of Messi, who actually plays in the MLS, I believe, for like Florida.
Oh, they did? Messi and that Messing roofing?
Well,
that's Messi.
M-E-S-S-I. Messi,
Okay.
at 38 years young, he passed the last in that.
That's kind of old for soccer, isn't
Well,
it?
it's getting up there. This may be his last World Cup because that only happens
Every 4 years.
4 years, I believe, right? So he passed a man by the name of Klose, K-L-O-S-E, as the leading goal scorer ever in World Cup competition.
What happened to the guy from Brazil who was so popular?
Pele.
I thought he was the big star.
Well, he was, and
historically,
Messi replaced him.
in the number of goals.
Well, the guy by the name of Klose was actually the one that he replaced.
Okay.
And Messi, but he replaced Pele, in my estimation, as the most recognizable star of all of.
I wonder what Pele's doing today.
Right, Pele's probably living a pretty comfortable
Living
life.
up, yeah,
He
probably
made a
running,
lot of money
probably running a pizza place
down there, right?
or a coffee shop. Everybody's opening coffee shops now.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't say the USA is 2-0. They've already clinched a movement. They will move on within it, even though they have one game to play. The result will not affect the fact that they will move on. and they'll be playing Thursday night in Los Angeles at 9 p.m. And who are they
And who
playing?
they-
They're playing Turkey.
Turkey,
They're playing
that's
the
right.
Turks.
They're
Or
playing the
Tremont.
Turks from Tremont.
We'll mention that Tremont just
Yeah.
won the state baseball championship. in
Right, and
20.
they just had the Turkey Festival.
And they, on the day of the Turkey Festival, they won it.
They won it. What a great way to end the
Came
season.
back and had celebrated
strawberry shortcake.
and don't forget the drumsticks.
Yes.
Those are really good. Well, anyway, the Cubs got rained out last night. You can't fool with Mother Nature sometime. They got rained out. The Cubs will play tonight at 6:10 in New York City against the Mets, and they will also make this game up as part of a day-night doubleheader. They never had those in the old days, did they, Roger?
No.
I can remember when you had a doubleheader, man. Like almost
You
every
played
holiday was
one game after another.
and you got the two for
You got the 2 for 1.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
On Wednesday,
Now they do the day night, as
day
you
night.
said.
They're going to play on Wednesday. They play tonight at 6:10, and then on Wednesday they'll play at 12:10, and then again at 6:10, and that'll be in New York City. And I believe those are our times. So a lot of action for the Cubs coming up here in the next.
Who's worse, the Mets or the Cubs?
Well, I'm not sure. The Mets.
I think
are
the Mets have a worse record
and
than the
they
Cubs.
spend a lot of money and they don't seem to get her done for some reason. Hey, and the south side of Chicago, last night the White Sox snagged victory from the jaws of defeat against the league-leading Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians were up 1 game in the standings in the AL Central, and the White Sox won in the bottom of the ninth inning. They were losing 5-4. They did get runners on second and third with 1 out, so you think they're going to get 1 run for sure. But the man that batted with 1 out struck out, and up comes a young whippersnapper from Springfield Griffin High School. I've seen him play with both in high school, and I've seen him play.
You followed his career, haven't you?
I tried to
Yeah.
get him to play with our Peoria Merchants team.
Did you really?
Oh, I loved him the first time I saw him. I went and saw him over at East Peoria, and
You knew he could hit.
then I told his dad when he was at Heartland he's going to play in the big leagues, and he played 2 years at Heartland Junior College, and then he went to Coastal Carolina, which is a baseball school that won the College World Series a couple years ago. Did well there and was a 6th-round pick of the
White Sox?
in about 24, I believe. So he's only
That's
been out
great.
of college 2 years, and he's already in the big leagues.
Good for him.
And he's playing everyday left field for the Chicago White Sox. Remember that name, San Antonacci.
Antonacci. You got it.
Italian. Cardinals last night, they got a 3-2 win versus the Diamondbacks, and they'll go at it again tonight at 6:45. A big shakeup in the University of Michigan's basketball program. You know, they won the national championship with a guy by the name of Dusty May, who was
Yeah, I think he made a mistake, but
making the move to the big show.
yeah.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say now, Roger, is the big show is Major League,
Yeah.
and college basketball
It's AAA.
is AAA. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm not going. Yeah, I will use it. It's
But-
pro basketball,
Yeah,
Roger. They're getting millions.
But the big difference is in college, the coach has to be out there almost every day recruiting.
Yeah.
His team's already bought and sold by the general manager. So his job is to keep everybody happy.
Yeah. No, you're definitely more, and you got an owner to deal with. It can be a little feisty at times too, that part of it. But I bet you the pay went up at a good 50%, if not 100% too. They make a lot.
Well, they do make a lot of money, but so does some college coaches.
But
when
they
you
got
think
such a
about
great
who was the coach of Alabama for many years?
Saban, the football.
Yeah.
Oh,
You think he didn't make millions of dollars?
10 million a year.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to beat in the pro ranks.
Oh, I tell you, they throw it around though, Roger.
They throw it around.
They throw it around. See,
like
the
manhole
players
covers.
get 50% of the revenue, and you split that with the. There's only like 14 players on a team. They don't have the 68 that are 64
Yeah,
or whatever.
like they do in football. Yeah.
And those guys they're big guys.
Well,
They're making
here's what I
40,
think,
50
yeah.
million a year.
You know, after a while, you're talking about real money like Dr. Sidler makes.
Yeah, that's right. not what I make. I can say. So Dusty May will be moving on. He'll be things are supposed to be finalized this morning, and they weren't finalized as of late last night. They're announcing that near signing Dusty May away from the University of Michigan, who won the national championship this past year.
Oh, good for him.
Good luck for him. The NCAA Division I, all activities are now over. Baseball finished last night in Omaha, Nebraska. The Oklahoma Sooners,
They wound up winning.
13-2 over the North Carolina.
Oh, Tar Heels.
Tar Heels.
Really?
Yeah, 13.
Wow.
Not a very good
That's
game.
a one-sided
No,
contest.
it was like 6-1, 7-1, 10-1, 10-2, 13-2. No, the announcers can say, well, there's 6 outs left. Yeah, well, there are, but they got those outs pretty easy too. So, and then I'd like to mention the Greater Peoria Baseball Coaches Association, which is pretty much made up of the high school coaches in Central Illinois. They have their annual All-Star game tonight that will take place at Dozer Park starting at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, they have
That's pretty well attended, isn't it?
it's pretty well because you have about, I think they have pretty close to 25 kids on a team, and they actually have 2 games. They separated, I think, kind of by the river east and west, and they have at 4 o'clock. I believe this year is the we call it the AA game, or the bigger classes. Now it'd be the 3A, 4A game, and then they have a game of another close to 50 kids involved at 7:30 that pits the 1 and 2A kids against each other. So there's actually 2 games tonight, one at 4 and then one like around 7. They'll go to 10 o'clock down there. I won't be down there that late, but I'll definitely stop down there. So good luck.
You'll be there.
Yeah, it was sponsored by McDonald's for a year, and it was called the McDonald's Game, but they opted out last year, and it's totally run by the group that actually picks the teams, the Greater Peoria High School Baseball Association. So good luck to those people.
Yes.
It's in its 34th annual. It started in, I remember, I was one of the coaches that helped start.
I was going to say,
with
you probably
Dave-
coached there, didn't you, at one
coached
time
with
or
it,
another?
yeah.
Good for you.
Any coaches that have players in the game are invited to be in uniform and coach in the game. And this was started in 1992. So 1992, it is now 34 years. Have one every year, 34th annual. So that's sports on WAZU 90.7 FM in lovely Peoria, Illinois.
Okay, good
And on
timing.
World Wide Web at Roger and at care of Roger and Friends LS.
You got it. Thank you,
Thank
Mike.
you. Well,
Great. Timing was very good, my friend. Let's get into the news at the bottom of the hour, brought to you by your hometown community banks, division of Morton Community Bank. 50 branches across central Illinois to serve you. Look for the clock tower, and you'll know they have time for you. Member FDIC. And Terry has the headlines. Terry?
Well, thanks to Dr. Sidler, we have some clarification on some of the things you were talking about in sports. FIFA does stand for the Federation Internationale de Football Association, which in English translates to International Federation of Associated Football.
Well, there you go.
And
pretty close.
Yeah.
Pele died in 2022. He was 82 years old.
82. Hard to believe. It just seemed
I
like
bet he played
yesterday.
close to 40 also.
He got to be quite a personality,
Yeah.
as well as a real talent. For 10 points, what was his first name? Nobody knows. I don't know either.
He was
I
just
hoping
Pele. I
maybe
mean,
you-
I knew.
Dr.
I said
Sidler
Pele.
will know.
Yeah, I'm
Pele.
sure he'll let me know in a minute.
Paul Paley.
How we got Messi.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the news.
Yes, on to the news.
Peoria City Council members tonight will discuss a proposal from the city's police department to hire 6 unarmed community service members to patrol the downtown area at an annual cost of $500,000. The personnel would have no police powers, no weapons, and no authority to make arrests. They would monitor potential trouble spots and incidents and provide information to police. an interesting proposal worthy of additional consideration. A late story from Peoria Police following a shooting Saturday shortly before 3 a.m. Officers responded to a 14-round shot spotter alert in the area of Sheridan and McClure. They found nothing at the scene, but learned later a man went to a local hospital by car, complaining of a gunshot wound to the leg. He'll recover as police seek the gunman's identity. They're still talking in Switzerland about terms to end the war between the United States and Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance is back in the States after attending one day of talks in Lucerne. President Trump has warned Iranian officials to get serious. Meanwhile, Israel is showing concern since they are not part of the ongoing discussions. We'll talk at 8:15 this morning with Ladonan Fishkin, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria. In national news, 5 people have been arrested and charged with vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. More arrests are possible. President Trump authorized spending over $14 million to clean the pool after years of neglect. Doesn't matter to political vandals who have threatened to do more damage as the country tries to celebrate its 250th anniversary. Tucker Carlson, once the darling of Fox News until he was fired 3 years ago, says he's quitting the Republican Party. Carlson has made a living with his podcast, but that could be in danger after he renounced the GOP, who helped him achieve some degree of popularity. Carlson made the announcement last Thursday, but no one seemed to know or care until Kamala Harris campaign workers announced it on their website. The Federal Food and Drug Administration has announced the recall of more than 11,000 bottles of a blood pressure medicine called chlorthalidone. Officials said the medication failed dissolution specifications. Simply put, the pill didn't dissolve properly. Dr. Sidler joins us at 7:15 to talk about this recall and others earlier this year, how and why it happens. And finally, the former chairman of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan, has died at the age of 100. Greenspan, who was married to NBC reporter Andrea Mitchell, served on the board for 18 years. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, thank you, Terry. Now let's have a check of the weather brought to you by Advanced Medical Transport of Central Illinois. Since 1991, the men and women of AMT have been saving lives with paramedics and emergency medical personnel. The company serves 65 communities with 54,000 emergency calls a year, and they go by the wonderful slogan, when seconds count, you can count on Advanced Medical Transport of Central Illinois. A little history on that slogan, who actually coined that for many, many years here in Peoria. Proctor Hospital. Norman Cloud, who was the administrator, and the marketing agency they use, when seconds out, you can count on Proctor Hospital. As I remember. At any rate, I do remember that we have a beautiful day today, sunny and pleasant, high around 80. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low 60. Tomorrow, partly sunny, with possible showers and thunder boomers after 3. That's tomorrow afternoon. The high tomorrow, 82. Tomorrow night, the overnight low 62. Looking ahead in the week, Thursday, sunny, 82. Friday, partly sunny, with afternoon showers and thunderstorms, and high near 80. And currently our temperature at 57 degrees. And that is your live weather report as we continue with the Breakfast with Roger and Friends. As we predicted, Dr. Sidler has provided the information of what Paley's first name is, and it is Paul, right?
No.
No, it isn't Paul?
No.
Okay.
What
What is his
Paley
first
is
name?
almost like his
His first name, yeah.
Edson Arantes do Nascimento.
See, no, there's no.
We'll go with Paul, for that matter. I want to mention two things in this segment. Number one, my sister has lived in California for over 35, 40 years, something like that. And she wouldn't come back if I paid her way back.
I wouldn't go
she
out
is-
there if you paid my way out there. So
yeah.
we got to vote both ways.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
No, I want nothing to do with the 405.
But you will enjoy this tidbit of information. We usually talk once a week, sometimes for sure once every 2 weeks. And she called Sunday night and said they had a wonderful guest speaker at her church Sunday. For 10 points, who was it? And I'll give you clues. He was a baseball player and very successful baseball player. I believe he played for the Yankees.
Bobby Richardson.
That would be a good choice.
He used to speak
Yeah.
for the FCA.
My brother said that in the locker room, if he heard profanity, he would walk away because he didn't want to hear. But he was
I've heard him speak.
born again Christian
I've heard him speak.
and neat guy. As a matter of fact, Zach arranged. We interviewed him when we were on WOAM Breakfast with Royce and Roger.
I remember that.
And Bobby Richardson spoke, and he was a wonderful and spoke very highly of my brother Zach.
Little second baseman.
Second baseman, right.
probably
I think
5'8",
he
5'8".
wound up as baseball coach for the University of South Carolina. Does that ring a bell by
Yeah,
any
a little
chance?
bit maybe.
But at any rate, your answer is incorrect, but interesting. It was not
Okay,
Bobby
add to the story
Richardson.
a little bit.
This player played later.
Later and
Yeah.
later with the Yankees.
And
What-
I'll give
what position?
you his, I believe he was a pitcher. I believe he was a pitcher. And his name included a very popular fruit during the summer.
Daryl Strawberry?
Daryl Strawberry is correct.
Wow.
Very good.
Wow.
And she said he gave an inspiring message about his acceptance of Jesus Christ in his life, and
Probably
he
had
was
some
a great
probably had
speaker.
some demons early in his
Yeah,
life too. I think.
probably a lot of them do. Certainly Mickey Mantle had plenty of those. But at any rate, she said he was a great speaker, and
Good for him.
and
Good for
people
him.
enjoyed him as well.
He's actually a Florida guy. Florida grew up in Florida.
He did.
Down at what's the farthest South Florida you can go?
Key West.
Key West. I think he's from Key West. Yes.
We know. You know, I was talking to Josh Bradshaw to get him to come on the show. Years ago, Fred Elmore used to come on the show, a well-known guitarist, and play his guitar. And we had someone else who played the guitar and came on. You remember who that was, Terry? We were the only morning show that had live music, as a matter of fact. And so I said, Josh, we haven't had someone in the studio since Fred Elmore, who has since passed away, unfortunately. Would you bring your guitar and come on? He said, Roger, I don't like to be the front man. He said, I did it at the party for Pat Sullivan because he's been a special friend over the years, but I'm not a solo guitarist. And I said, well, he said, I work with my band. I said, well, bring your band. I said, how many are there? He said, 3. I said, well, that'll work out. He said one of them plays a bass guitar. Does that sound like an instrument? And the other is a drummer. I said, well, the drummer might be a little difficult, but I said, talk to your guys and see if they would come on some morning, all 3 of you. And I think it'd be neat if they came and we had a little live music. I'm trying to think of the guy who is well known in Central Illinois, and he tells stories, I think, with his guitar.
Barry Cloyd?
Yeah, well, Barry Cloyd. Barry Cloyd would be one. But there's also another guy in that genre of music that hangs around. I want to say his last name is Fox. Does that ring a bell to you at all?
It's not Applegate, is it?
No. Oh, yeah, there was a fox.
Anyway, while you do that, we like to hearken back. You know, I want to bring a keyboard in since you're a pianist and have
No.
you. No, okay.
You're getting some rejection here, Roger.
Yeah.
Bring it in.
Well, I'm used to it. I've been rejected my whole life. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to bring up for a discussion, and we always welcome and encourage listeners to jump in at any time. The studio number is 309-966-4044, and that is the news that they're going to open a coffee shop at War Drive and University. Now, that is one of the busiest and most dangerous intersections, I believe, in the city of Peoria. I think they compete with Sheridan, War Drive, and Knoxville, and War Drive, too. They've had some bad, fatal accidents at Sheridan years ago, for that matter. But it is interesting because a realtor slash developer was planning and even laid out the plans for the public to see a mini mall at that intersection. You remember that? And we used to have, what was it, Manning Macomb?
Yeah, Jim Macomb.
Well, it started out Manning Macomb and then became Jim
then
Macomb.
Jim.
Yeah,
Yep.
at that intersection. And they used to have salesmen walk from one side over to the other corner, and I thought that was the most dangerous thing for anybody to do.
They should have got what they call that risk pay of some sort.
Oh, combat pay, yeah, for that matter. But at any rate, apparently those grandiose plans went down the toilet
window.
because we never did hear anymore. So now we're doing a coffee shop, and I guess it'll work out because, as you recall, at Prospect and War Drive, there is a Starbucks, is there not? At the intersection?
They've got a line all the time.
Yeah,
yes.
and it's
It's pretty much a drive-through, right?
oh yeah, and it's the end of a little strip mall there. I mean,
Yeah,
by
right.
the
one-
muffler
and
place.
It's
and it's-
closest to War Memorial too. I mean, as far as the strip mall goes, goes back to a muffler shop, I think, on the
on the other
north
side.
end. On
Yeah.
the south end of that, and there's a pizza place, I believe, in there too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's when you drive your car around it to get you're pretty close to War Memorial Drive.
No, never in my wild imagination as I grew up, because most neighborhoods had a neighborhood bar. Now we're getting to the point where I think neighborhoods have a coffee shop,
Oh.
and it's
they're not
interesting. Well, Dunkin' Donuts is about $1 less than Starbucks for just a cup of coffee, I think. But Starbucks has made their reputation with their, what do you call them, decorators, coffee, the blends.
The designer of the frappuccinos.
Yes, right.
Mochas.
Yeah, and there's no competition. They just smoke, and I see that in Morton because there's used to be Wendy's many years ago that is now a Dunkin' Donuts, and down the road they built a Starbucks. And when I'm on the way to a Walmart, I go by past both of them, and there might be one or two cars at Dunkin' Donuts where I counted one day 8 to 9 cars in line,
really doesn't-
with 2 of them coming to join the line
Yeah.
at Starbucks.
And what I found too is that, of course, they're busier in the morning a little bit and at lunchtime, but they're busy all day long. I mean, 'cause,
Yeah.
I mean, people.
What is the appeal? Their blends?
I think their blends have a little bit to do with it.
Yes, and the fancier drink. So you've got your syrups and the frappuccinos, of course, are a frozen drink.
Yeah.
So they're a step
They're
above a
not drinking
milkshake.
black coffee. I'm telling you that.
No.
or decaf
And they're
and
not.
lattes.
In even in my day, a cup of coffee was probably a quarter.
Yeah.
In your day, it was probably might have been even a little.
Well, you had a hard time finding a coffee shop.
Well,
You
I'm
know,
saying
like-
if you had a coffee in a diner,
Yes.
yeah, you can't get out of
Even-
those places for less than $5. I mean
That's right.
That's not a
Yeah.
grande either.
No,
That's
that's
whatever the little name is called.
a tall.
Yeah, you're
I don't see you drink coffee. Are you a coffee drinker, Tara? You are? Is that coffee in
No,
there?
I'm trying to switch over to tea.
Over
So
to tea? Okay.
this is iced tea this morning.
Oh, okay. Are you a coffee
no,
drinker?
never.
I am for decaf. I never used to be a coffee drinker, and when I worked at Methodist, I would have meetings with individuals in my office, and one day a guy said, "Do you have any coffee, Roger?" And I said, "No, but we'll get some for you." I, Secretary, went and got some coffee, and then we talked about it at a meeting, and the girls in my office said, why don't you just requisition, which I did do, and the next thing you know, I had a coffee pot every morning, regular coffee, and then developed AFib, so now I can't drink regular coffee or tea with caffeine in it. And interestingly, you got to read ingredients now, because I had some flavoring for making diet drink, strawberry and so forth. Interestingly, what is the Crystal Light?
Oh, Crystal Light.
Yeah,
Crystal Light.
I won't swear it was the brand, but I decided one day to see what kind of sugar substitute that, and it said caffeine, and I didn't realize that a strawberry drink had caffeine in it. I was thinking to myself, no wonder I feel agitated all the time and want to throw things at people. Not really, but it is important. At any rate, it is interesting, back to the original question about is this a good idea to put a coffee shop at one of the busiest intersections in the city of Peoria?
Yeah, that's what I'm a little concerned as far as getting it. It's enough problem right now when you come out of McDonald's and you take a
You're
right.
right, yeah.
Yeah, you got to make sure you get over right away into that right lane.
Oh,
If-
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is tricky, isn't it?
Well, it's tricky, and you probably got you got the right turn lane, you got 2 lanes, and you got the left. So there's actually 4 lanes there. As
Yes,
you exit,
that's right.
As you exit to go north onto,
On-
you know, and
on
this
University.
is only a half. So what's it gonna be like when you add another? If they do even half the business that Starbucks have, there's still gonna be a lot of extra traffic now.
I would think they would want to maybe across the road in where Hobby Lobby is, and I don't know whether they have space there or not. That seems like it would be a safer, more logical in and out
It
location.
seems like a pretty big place for a coffee shop too.
Yeah.
You know, going back to the original plans to have a strip mall, for no better word.
And I don't think it's one of the major companies like Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks.
It's called Dutch. I call it Dutch Brothers because
What is it called? So it's a franchise, is it?
BROS, which is the abbreviation for brothers.
And they call
but,
them
but they're
bros.
calling it Dutch Bros.
Oh, Bros.
But
Bros.
Is it a local company? Or?
No, it's not
No,
local.
it's
It's national.
But it doesn't have.
Did you ever think, growing up, that we would have so many coffee shops? I certainly didn't read. And the other miracle in retail business is we're actually buying jugs of water now.
Oh, I see.
And it is interesting, at Walmart they have it near the eggs and other refrigerated items. They have a big tank there, and people come in with their big jugs
Big jug,
and
yeah.
fill them up with water.
Oh, I use.
You-
I
you
won't
do?
make my own water.
Can
I
you
don't
tell the
mix any water.
difference between bottled water and water out of the faucet?
Yes.
I can't, but I can't tell the difference in
Well,
a
but
lot
you
of
got
things.
Portland water, but Peoria
Yeah.
water does have
Yeah,
a tendency to, every now and then, like you're drinking a swimming pool, and the
Yeah.
chlorine gets a little too strong. But it's the the calcium content. It gave my cat UTIs because of the crystals.
I see.
And I thought, okay.
Gotta get rid of that.
So I go every couple of days and fill my little jugs of water. Because I used to have a water cooler. And so I would get those big 5
Yeah.
gallons of water.
Yeah.
And there's just too hard for me. Number one, I don't
Yeah.
have the water cooler. It finally died, and I have not replaced it. And just carrying those 5-pound, the
Pretty
5
heavy.
gallons is too hard
Yeah.
for me to handle anymore.
That's
It's
inconvenient.
amazing how heavy you walk. I even, when I flower back on our deck in the back, behind our house, and even when I fill that right up to the brim, because I can usually do all the flower, if I fill it up right to the top, I only have to do it one fill up. And just lifting that out of I do it in the sink.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
And that's only about a gallon. That's not much over a gallon, I don't think. My watering can, for no better word, plastic. I shouldn't say can. It's more of a
The
plastic.
plastic,
one.
yeah. I have a neighbor who has it delivered, big 3-5 gallon jugs.
I think they're
what they are.
5-gallon jugs. Those ones.
And
they got the
they
top to
deliver it, put it next to his garage, and and he's a young, relatively speaking guy, so he has no problem picking the jugs up and taking them in. And many people do have, like you said, a cooler, which they, at one time we had it in our house when we lived on Overbrook Drive in Wardcliff. I had one of those jugs. I thought it was pretty nice, but it seemed to be against my principle that I was buying water.
Well, they've come a long way. When I had mine, I had to go fill it. You had to, when you took off your plastic cap, you had to hold your hand over it and flip it over and then, pull your hand out. And now, oh my goodness, I've got them with a nice topper, so you just peel off the thing and then you just put it in and there's a spike. So
I see what you're saying.
Then it pushes down
put it in
and
your
eases the
so
water.
you don't have to worry about dripping water all
Otherwise,
over
it
the
was a
place.
challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite a challenge, yes.
The eye and hand coordination. Weather-wise today, sunny and pleasant. High around 80 right now. We're at 58 degrees. And it's time, as always, for our pet tip of the day.
Good. They like that, people going to work.
And I always like that.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Has your cat gone wild? Well, I have some ideas for you to consider that should solve those problems. When your cat claws at your furniture, experts say that they are scratching to stretch their muscles. So first, cover the commonly target area with double sticky tape. They don't like the stickiness. This will stop it. Then buy a scratching post and place it near the piece of furniture that has been the usual target. Make sure to buy a post that is tall enough for your cat to extend their entire body while clawing at the post. This should do the trick. If they are not using the litter box, you may need to change it more often. Some cats are so fussy and clean that the owners must scoop the litter each day. This also keeps your house smelling nicer too. If a cat is urinating often, then the entire litter must be changed out. This, however, might also be a signal to see the vet. Frequent urination can be a sign of urinary tract infections or kidney disease. Catch it early and it's workable. Let it go and you may be seeing a great expense to cure it. What do you do when your cat bites or scratches you during play? Stop all interaction with them, turn around, and leave the room for just a few minutes. This conditions your cat to realize that when they scratch or bite, their playmate will leave. After a timeout, you can go back to playing, but try to do so at a lower intensity. These helpful hints should solve your problems and keep both you and your cat from going crazy. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
I love those pet tips of the day. Actually, sometimes they talk about subjects that of diseases or conditions that I have at the time, and I wonder whether or not I should go to the vet or my doctor or Matt Wall, CPA. But Matt Wall, good to see you. Gordon Stockenwall, good to see you this morning.
Thanks, Roger. I'm here.
Must be a little slower time of the year. He's got his golf off.
Yeah.
Looks like he's ready to go golfing.
Well, he was supposed to be here last week, but as happens to many of us who are getting older, he forgot. But that's okay.
You know, as you're older, how do you even fight that excuse nowadays? You know, I write everything down twice and I still forget.
Yeah. Well, I write it down too, and then I forget where I wrote it down. I am serious. I'll be watching television, whatever, and I thought, oh, I got to do this, and I'll reach over and get an envelope that I just opened, an invoice from Gordon Stockman Law, and I'll write down the note. And then later on,
Where is that?
I gather things up and throw them in the garbage. And I think, you know what? I think I wrote something down in one of those envelopes. But do you think I'm going to go into the garbage and look for it? No way. Hey, this time of the year, is it a slow down time for you?
I got some doozies going on right now.
What is that? When you say doozies, what does that mean?
That means that there are people that are in trouble or people that have extended their return and they're kind of nasty ones to work on because they're all got a lot of stuff, you know. And I got some companies that sold their company this year, and a lot of companies are selling out these days around town. Believe it or not, they are. It's amazing.
Do you, when people are negligent and forgetful, do you go into a lecture mode, or you think, well, you know what, live by the sword, die by the taxes?
I send them emails about once a week, especially the ones that haven't filed for 4 or 5 years.
Oh.
And actually, I've gotten some response from a few of them. Not all of them. But I'm going to, continue. I'm really not out for the money. I just want them to be compliant.
You want to keep them out of jail.
Yeah.
And it's not going to get any better.
No,
either, is it? So let's get after it, please.
Especially if they owe. By the time they get everything done, they'll owe more than double what they should have owed if they just filed on time. With the interest and penalties, it wipe them out, basically. It'll double their amount due.
Did the things that Donald Trump campaigned on, like no taxes on Social Security and you don't have to report tips for waitresses and waiters and servers and so forth, was that implemented? If so, when, or if not, when?
Yeah, it was implemented. The no tax on tips, that was a good one. They had to come up with their tip number because the IRS didn't require the employer to tell them what their tips were, but they had to come up with their number. This coming up here, 26, it's got to be on their W-2 that how much tips they got. So they'll have to.
They still have to report it, but they don't get taxed.
Yeah, there's an exclusion for that. Also, overtime. Well, I had a lot of people that took that deduction last year, and once again, that wasn't included on their W-2, but their employer usually gave them a sheet of paper saying, here's how much you made in overtime, and then we were able to reduce their wages
Really?
by overtime. A lot of people worked overtime last year.
Yeah.
And then the one big one that's going to come on, not last year, but this year,
For 26 taxes?
26 taxes. If you don't itemize, which very few people do anymore because the standard is so high, you can take $2,000 of charity donations on page 1 of your return off the top, even if you don't itemize. So you can take the standard deduction and take up to $2,000 of cash charity contributions. So that is going to help taxpayers plus charities.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk with Matt Wall in the next segment as well, and also we'll be chatting with Dr. Sidler about some blood pressure medicine that's been recalled, to give you an up-to-date on that. That and much more on Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois. Also on YouTube this morning. A pleasant good morning, everybody. Stay tuned. More coming your way on WAZU FM 90.7 in beautiful Peoria, Illinois. this morning. It is 7 o'clock. It is Tuesday, the 23rd of June. Let's get into a check of the weather. You know, this is a great time of the year to consider buying your next home. Realtor Kathy Reynolds of HomeSmart, eager to help you search the marketplace. Kathy experience and has helped countless couples, families, and individuals find their next dream home. She's available to discuss the exciting opportunities today at 309-696-2162. Today it's going to be sunny and pleasant with a high around 80. Tonight partly cloudy, a low 60. Tomorrow it'll be partly sunny with possible showers and thunderboomers after 3 o'clock. That's tomorrow afternoon. The high tomorrow 82. Tomorrow night partly cloudy, low 62. How about Thursday? Sunny and 82, and Friday partly sunny and afternoon showers and thunderstorms possible on Friday. Friday's high 80. Hey, we're up to 60 degrees. And ladies and gentlemen, that's your live weather report on WAZU. And now the news with our lead story, Teri Chamberlain.
Well, Peoria City Council members tonight will discuss a proposal from the city's police department to hire 6 unarmed community service members to patrol the downtown area at an annual cost of $500,000. The personnel would have no police powers, no weapons, and no authority to make arrests. They would monitor potential trouble spots and incidents and provide information to police. An interesting proposal worthy of additional consideration.
A late story from Peoria Police following a shooting last Saturday shortly before 3 a.m. Officers responded to a 14-round shot spotter alert in the area of Sheridan and McClure. They found nothing at the scene, but learned later a man went to a local hospital complaining of a gunshot wound to the leg. He'll recover as police seek the gunman's identity.
They're still talking in Switzerland about terms to end the war between the United States and Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance is back in the States after attending one day of talks in Lucerne. President Trump has warned Iranian officials to get serious. Meanwhile, Israel is showing concern since they are not part of the ongoing discussions. We'll talk at 8:15 this morning with Ladonan Fishkin, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria.
Oh, well, how about some national news? 5 people have been arrested and charged with vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. More arrests are possible. President Trump authorized spending over $14 million to clean the pool after years of neglect. Doesn't matter to political vandals who threaten to do more damage as the country attempts to celebrate its 250th anniversary.
Tucker Carlson was the darling of Fox News until he was fired 3 years ago, says he's quitting the Republican Party. Carlson has made a living with his podcast, but that could be in danger after he renounced the GOP, who helped him achieve some degree of popularity. Carlson made the announcement last Thursday, but no one seemed to know or care until Kamala Harris campaign workers announced it on their website. Carlson wrongly predicted Trump would lose his 2016 election bid because thousands of Republicans were going to vote for Bernie Sanders.
The Federal Food and Drug Administration has announced a recall of more than 11,000 bottles of a blood pressure medicine called chlorthalidone. Officials said the medication failed dissolution specifications. Simply put, the pill didn't dissolve properly. Dr. Sidler joins us 7:15 to talk about this recall and others earlier this year, how and why these things seem to develop every now and then.
The former chairman of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan, has died at the age of 100. Greenspan, who is married to NBC reporter Andrea Mitchell, served on the board for 18 years.
And last night's Peoria School Board meeting, Superintendent Dr. Sharon Karat said goodbye to everyone. She's retiring after 11 years, starting with Peoria in July of 2015. Dr. Karat thanked everyone and said she's planning on remaining in Peoria. That's good news. Also at the meeting, some bad news. Demarius Boone, Chief of School Resource Officers, was pretty heavily criticized for expressing support of convicted killer 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony. Anthony stabbed to death 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a track meet in Frisco, Texas. Boone allegedly blamed the dead teenager's death on himself. and got some pushback on it last night. That's a look at some of the stories we're following. Now let's get some news from WCBU. You know, finding the right home care team can be a challenge, but not if you choose Spoon River Home Health, a company founded by registered nurses more than 30 years ago. If you or someone you know is in need of loving care in the home, the staff of Spoon River stand ready to meet that need. And their phone number is 309-245-0723. Now news from WCBU.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm Ryan Denham. Peoria Riverfront Museum President John Morris says their participation in the upcoming Great American State Fair in Washington is not intended to be political. The event in the National Mall is organized by the White House-backed Freedom 250 organization. Morris says the museum volunteered for Illinois when the state opted against having an official presence.
There was no partisan motive for doing it. There is only the motive of being proud of our state and wanting to represent it at the official celebration on the National Mall.
Morris says his understanding is that Illinois chose not to participate for budget reasons. Several other Democratic-led states have also declined. Morris says Peoria's exhibition will include a hologram of Abraham Lincoln. The 16-day celebration is set to begin Thursday. The Peoria Police Department is seeking approval to hire 6 civilian community service officers to increase the enforcement presence downtown. The City Council is expected to vote on that request at Tuesday night's meeting. The unarmed community service officers would focus on public safety and community services. Their combined salaries would total just over $500,000. Other items set to go before the council include a redevelopment agreement tied to the Keller Station Business District and final approval for a Dutch Bros coffee shop at the intersection of University Street and War Memorial Drive. The East Peoria Police Department is now operating out of its new headquarters on Camp Street. The transition into the $22 million two-story facility started Monday morning. The new building has more than 40,000 square feet of functional space, with upgraded technology and a dedicated community room. Beginning next Monday, police services will no longer be available at the Washington Street location. The doors have opened at Tazewell County's new $4 million animal control facility. Not for the animals being cared for by the county, they're coming soon, but for invited guests who toured the facility on the county's Tremont campus. The new facility is twice as big as the old one, and county officials say it's safer for animals and the staff because of a state-of-the-art ventilation system. Among the new facility's amenities are a veterinarian suite and dedicated spaces for adoption visits. Find more news at WCBU.org. I'm Ryan Denham.
Okay, Ryan. Thank you kindly. Now let's get into the world of sports. Coach Mike Olson's here with the latest.
Thank you very much, Roger. Well, in the World Cup, FIFA, okay, the World Cup happens every 4 years, and all the good countries of the world with their soccer programs get together, and I would guess there's got to be 50 to 60, maybe 70 teams, maybe more. They've got Group A, Group B, Group
48 teams.
Pardon me?
48 teams.
48, see, 48 teams in FIFA that are vying for the World Cup. There was a game last night. Argentina beat Austria 2-0. The biggest name, in my opinion, and I think most people's opinion in soccer right now, is Messi, M-E-S-S-I. And he actually plays for an American team in the U.S., but he's on the Argentinian.
Where did they play the game last night? You know?
That game.
I'm sure it was packed.
Oh,
all the games are packed, aren't they?
Right. Anyway, Messi's 38 years old, but he is the leading scorer ever in the FIFA tournament, World Cup tournament. He beat out a man by the name of Klose, K-L-O-S-E, with his goal last night. Anyway, he's an excellent goal scorer, and I'm sure his goal is to win the World Cup for Argentina. USA playing better and better all the time. They've won their first 2 games. They've already qualified to go on, even though they've got 1 game left in their pool. They'll play Thursday night in L.A. at the SoFi Stadium in L.A., where the 2 football teams play out there. The American football teams play. They played at 9 o'clock our time on Thursday night against Turkey, the Turkey Turks from Fremont. No, from the country Turkey. And but there's no question. I've seen the growth of both the soccer and the hockey in our United States, which are both started about the same time, nationwide. You know what I'm saying? That there was no hockey in Illinois.
I never thought soccer was going to be sold, but boy, how was I ever wrong on
What
that?
soccer has over even baseball now, and definitely football, is well, the football element is.
But they don't play that regular. You know, baseball is almost every day. Football is once a
Oh,
week.
I see what you're talking. I'm talking more about the development of the game.
Oh, okay. All
That
right.
that soccer is very inexpensive.
Yes.
You can play it on a dirt road if you want, and they do over in those countries. That's why they're so good. You know, we play on a pitch. You know, they call it now. That's their field.
Well,
I mean,
finer, yeah, but
yeah.
not. That's not true in high school.
Right. No, but I'm just talking about it. Like, for example, when you developed hockey in Illinois, you had to get some artificial freezing units to have hockey.
Yeah, you had to have ice.
You had to have ice.
Yeah.
And you have, especially now we're in Arizona and we're in Texas and we're in California.
Las Vegas.
And then what equipment do you need for soccer? You got a pair of
cleats.
shorts?
Yeah.
You got a pair of shoes, tennis
Yeah.
shoes? I mean, of
That's
course
it.
you can buy any equipment at the highest level you want, but still, when you're talking about some of these other sports, you're going to pay more
you need a ball.
for a protective
right.
supporter in some of these sports than you're going to pay for a full pair of shorts. And they wear little shin guards that
Yeah.
look like a piece of plastic, but
Yeah.
that's okay. But it's very expensive, and a lot of people participate, and everybody walks away happy because I used to tell my granddaughter, honey, you almost touched the ball today. Come, God, you had a great game. And she's got their hair is perfect, and they get a treat after the game. And, you know, and that's true of all the sports today, too, at the youth level. It's a very participation element. But congratulations to Messi on becoming the all-time leading goal scorer men's World Cup competition. Cubs were rained out last night in New York City against the Mets. They'll play tonight at 6:10. They'll make up the game rained out last night as a doubleheader on Wednesday, but you won't get a twofer. You're going to have to pay 2 times to see the doubleheader if you want to go to the 12:10 game and the 6:10 game. In the old days, they were always a doubleheader was a doubleheader. It's like you only paid 1
2
time.
for 1.
2 for 1, that's what I'm saying. And they had those on holidays a lot of times too, like July 4th and Memorial Day and a lot of Sundays sometime, but not anymore. They're going to have a 12:10 game on Wednesday, and then they'll clean the stadium out about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and by 5 o'clock they'll be letting the people come in for the second game. The White Sox last night snagged victory from the jaws of defeat. They were down 5-4, bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs, runners on second and third, and I call him local product, played junior college at Heartland down in Normal, and is from Springfield Griffin. Sam Antonacci drove a hard line drive single up the middle. It was a very close play at the plate, and he was ruled safe by the official, by the umpire. Of course, the other team had nothing to lose. We're going to challenge it. And it probably took 5 minutes, but eventually they said the call has been upheld. And the people in the White Sox are now basically tied for first place in the AL, and the Cubs are about 7.5 games out. So the White Sox are having a great year with their young players. Michigan's coach, Dusty May, is no longer going to be Michigan's coach after today. They say he'll be signing a multi-year, multi-million-dollar deal with the Dallas Mavericks of the NBA to be their head coach. If you don't remember, back in April, Michigan won the NCAA tournament. This man's been there 2 years, and I believe he's 68-12 over 2 years. Excellent coach. NCAA activities are done for the year. Baseball's the last sport that crowns its Division I champion. That was done in Omaha, Nebraska last night. The Oklahoma Sooners 13 and the North Carolina Tar Heels 2. Not a very good game from a excitement standpoint. If you're for Oklahoma, you probably loved it because there was never any doubt. It went like 6-0, 6-1. 7-7-1, 10-2. I think it ended up 13-2. I know it ended up 13-2. And the last thing today, the Greater Peoria Baseball Coaches Association of our local high school baseball coaches, they will host tonight the 34th annual Greater Peoria Baseball Coaches All-Star Game featuring the top talent, and there is some very good talent. We've got about 5 or 6 Division I players in our area, and they will play tonight at Dozer Park. There'll be 2 games. There'll be a east-west game of the bigger schools at 4, and then an east-west game of the smaller schools at about 7:30. So that's at Dozer Park tonight if you want to see some good high school baseball all-star caliber. And that's sports on WAZU 90.7 FM in lovely Peoria, Illinois, and on the worldwide web, care of Roger and Friends LS.
Yeah. Thank you kindly. And Dr. Gene Sidler's on the line. Good morning, Gene.
Good morning to everyone.
Yeah.
Morning, Gene.
And you, we raised the question about who played the guitar and sang, and you came up with another name that we had not recalled, and that is?
Fox.
Locally, Brian Fox Ellis.
There you go.
He's somewhat of a storyteller musician, yeah.
Yeah. I knew there was Fox, so I couldn't remember how it fit in.
Fox
There was
Ellis.
Brian Fox Ellis for that man, and very, very talented for that matter. Well, let's talk about this blood pressure medicine that has been recalled. And, you know, there are millions of people on blood pressure medicine. Is this one of the more popular ones or not so popular?
Well, it's not one of the most popular ones. There's still a few million people in the U.S. who take this drug, but considering there are probably close to 100 million people with high blood pressure, that's still a relatively low percentage of them take this drug. This is an older medication that you're referring to called chlorthalidone. It's a diuretic. It first came onto the market in the United States in 1960, so it's been around over 60 years. It was much more widely used back when I first started in practice, along with another diuretic called hydrochlorothiazide. And these are both similar medications. They just lower blood pressure, but they also enhance the effect of other blood pressure medications. So they're often given in combination with another blood pressure medicine because by themselves they're relatively mild acting. So you might start a patient initially on a drug like chlorthalidone for their blood pressure, but if it doesn't get blood pressure down enough, you add a second drug, and then the combination of the two together work very well. In fact, in many cases, some of these drugs now come as combinations in the same pill with a little bit of a diuretic along with the other acting medication, and chlorthalidone used to be one of those. But again, it's fallen off in its popularity because other drugs have come along on the market and taken a bigger share. And the chlorthalidone does sometimes have a few side effects, but it is still used. And in this case, the FDA issued, actually it wasn't the FDA, this was a voluntary recall by the pharmaceutical company, which happens to be a generic pharmaceutical company that is headquartered in India. As a lot of generics are now made overseas in third world countries even. The company issued a voluntary recall. The FDA does monitoring of drugs on the market, and that includes sometimes assaying the drug itself to see how pure it is, how effective the content of the medication is, and other factors like in this case, the drug was found not to dissolve properly. And that is a factor that can detract from its effectiveness, because if it's passing through your GI system and it's not dissolving properly, you're not going to absorb it as well, and that affects its usefulness. So it was found that it wasn't working so well, and the drug was pulled off the market. At least several batches of it were, and that included about 11,400 bottles. Now, a bottle usually contains 100 pills. Those are the bottles that are sent to pharmacies. Those were recalled. I think pharmacies would still be able to obtain the drug. Other bottles of it that weren't included in the recall if people are on it. So I really don't think this will affect anybody that much who is taking it. And of course, it will be those recalled bottles will be replaced by others that are hopefully made effectively. And this is a common occurrence. The FDA recalls medicines all the time, or at least issues recalls, and of course voluntary recalls are issued all the time when there are issues about the effectiveness, purity, and such of each type of medication.
Yeah. How do they come? What do they do? Just I worked at Pabst one year as a Bradley student, and I was on the line where I was looking for shorts of the bottles or items in the bottles and put them off the assembly line. Do they have people that just grab a bottle and then test them as they did for the quality of beer? Is that how they discovered that, hey, these pills aren't dissolving right?
It could have been. They didn't release details on how that's done. They do actually have people who not only inspect the drug-making facilities. In this case, they may have traveled to the factories in India and done some inspections. They do that sort of thing. My guess is that this was something that was found maybe more likely through the quality assurance policies of the company itself. They probably do quality control studies on their products, and even after some might have gotten shipped out, some lab studies revealed that there was a question of the dissolvability, and so they issued the voluntary recall and notified the FDA. But in this case, they just didn't release the details how it was done this time. But it can be done either by the manufacturer or by the FDA. They do some of their own studies. They request samples of batches and do some of their own studies as well.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit and talk sports. Dr. Siddle, of course, has this very, very, very popular website, BradleyFans.com, and it's alive with a discussion today with news that the Missouri Valley has made an important announcement regarding playoff games. What's going on, and what did they announce yesterday?
Well, we actually have known this was coming now for a few weeks. They did set a press conference yesterday and had a Zoom call type of press conference where they did finally announce some things that have been rumored for several weeks. Two main things. The Arch Madness is going to be changed in a couple of ways. That's the postseason basketball tournament for both men and women. Actually, the Arch Madness technically is the men's postseason tournament in St. Louis. Women have had something called Hoops in the Heartland. It has been played in Moline for many years, but then last year, for the first year, it was played in Coralville, Iowa, an arena over there adjacent to Iowa City. The problem that the Missouri Valley has had is that although Arch Madness, the St. Louis tournament, is very popular, very well attended, is the envy of every other mid-major postseason tournament. It's run well, fans love it, attendance is great. It's a terrific experience. I've been to every one of them since they've hosted them in St. Louis starting in 1991, and it's a very successful postseason tournament. However, the women's tournament, not so much. It loses a great deal of money every year. It's not well attended. And so this was a move made to try to help with some of that money loss and maybe give a little bit more prestige and visibility to the women's tournament. They have merged the men's and women's tournaments together into Arch Madness, so that will happen with next March's that's March of 2027. Yeah, Arch Madness. They'll have the men and women in St. Louis. They'll play at different times. The women's tournament will start on the Wednesday of that tournament week. Men's tournament will start on Thursday with two sessions, 4 games total. And then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they'll also play at different times in different sessions, but they'll all be there in St. Louis at the same time. The other change was to the format of how the tournament bracket is run. It used to be that all the teams, all 12 teams of the conference, and that number has changed over the years, but the last few years there have been 12 teams. Actually, last year it dropped to 11. Just this year, I should say, the 2026 tournament, and next year it will be 11 as well. But the format has changed where they are going to give a first and second round bye to the top 2 teams from the regular season standings. Now, the reason for that is that, like what happened in 2026, Belmont won the regular season by 3 games. I mean, they ran away with the league lead and led the whole season and won the regular season. And then they came into the tournament and got upset by Drake in their first game and did not get an NCAA bid to the NCAA tournament. And the Missouri Valley commissioner believes that if they protect those top 2 teams and give them a bye through the Thursday and Friday games, and then they are plugged automatically into the semifinals along with the 2 remaining teams that came through the regular rest of the bracket, that might help get the conference more than 1 bid in the NCAA tournament, or at least protect the best team to get through to the NCAA tournament. I totally disagree. My own personal opinion. I think this is a gimmick. It's not. Again, why mess with something that isn't broken? This is the best mid-major level tournament. The only tournaments better are the SEC, ACC, Big Ten, Big 12. The 4 big power conferences are the only tournaments that are really bigger, better type tournaments. The Missouri Valley is the envy of every other mid-major conference, and yet they're messing with it now by changing the format and everything else about it. I just think, and that's been pretty much the consensus of the fans. As you mentioned, this is kind of a dull time of the year for college basketball, and so the interest in talking about college basketball has dropped off for the most part in June, July, and into August. But now it's all reactivated here because people are talking about this, and the pretty much consensus is entirely negative about these changes.
Yeah. And a little reminder, if you want to participate in the chat, go to bradleyfans.com. Register and become a part of the vast audience for Dr. Gene Sidler. Anything else you want to add to the good of the conversation today?
Well, as Mike has been talking about, the coach of Michigan, Dusty May, is now going to be the coach of the Dallas Mavericks. He was being paid $4.6 million a year at Michigan, so you can only imagine that he's going to get a boost there in Dallas.
He'll be well over 10 to he'll be 10 to 20.
And
These players are making 40 to 50. You're the boss.
Yeah. Well, the coaches are much easily but more disposable than the players.
Oh yeah.
They come and go all the time, and so yeah. But they do get paid very well, and most college coaches will jump at an NBA job because, as Mike sort of mentioned, it's really more of a 6-month-a-year job, and you don't have to do recruiting. You don't have to go out and schmooze with the fans and raise money with the boosters. So there's high pressure. Stan Albeck told me when he was in the NBA coaching, every coach he knew was on blood pressure medicine and was high stress, and was addicted to pills and were heavy smokers and all the things that go with the high stress. So it is a high stress job, but again, it pays well, and it's not a 12-month-a-year job like college coaching.
No, you're right.
Well, as always, thank you, Gene, for an update
Gene.
on some of the medical stories and issues, as well as in the world of sports. Thank you kindly.
One other thing, can I mention that Bradley has a new women's basketball coach, Kaya Meyer, and things are growing in excitement for the women's team because they also got a commitment from Emmy Wardle, probably the top girls high school player in our area and one of the top in the state. She'll be at Bradley a year from this fall. She's just starting her senior year at Peoria, Notre Dame. But she will join the Bradley women's basketball team along with her sister, Maya, who's on the team. And that bodes well, I think, for the future of Bradley women's basketball. And, of course, the men's team has had a huge overhaul with all new players coming in this year. Thank you to the portal and the transfers that take away all your best players. Jaquan Johnson now being paid $2 million a year over at Iowa State in name, image, and likeness money, something that Bradley could not possibly match. So Bradley now will have a lot of new players on the men's team, and I think a resurging interest in the women's team this coming fall.
And you can
That's it.
I was going to say, and you can get more details at BradleyFans.com.
All right, have a great week,
All right,
everybody.
you bet. Dr. Gene Sidler with BradleyFans.com, bringing us up to date. We're going to break for the news headlines and the weather, and then we'll continue our conversation with CPA Matt Waugh of Gordon Stockman Waugh. Stay tuned. He has some good financial information to share with you, so don't go away. We start with the news at the bottom of the hour, brought to you by Bob Manning of the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley in Peoria. Bob's a senior vice president, has been in the investment advisory field now for more than 27 years. His telephone number 309-671-4653. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC. Terry Chamberlain has our headlines.
Peoria City Council members tonight will discuss a proposal from the city's police department to hire 6 unarmed community service members to patrol the downtown area at an annual cost of $500,000. The personnel would have no police powers, no weapons, and no authority to make arrests. They would monitor potential trouble spots and incidents and provide information to police. An interesting proposal worthy of additional consideration. A late story from Peoria Police following a shooting this past Saturday morning shortly before 3 a.m. Officers responded to a 14-round shot spotter alert in the area of Sheridan McClure. They found nothing at the scene, but learned later a man went to a local hospital by car complaining of a gunshot wound to the leg. He'll recover as police seek the gunman's identity. They're still talking in Switzerland about terms to end the war between the United States and Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance is back in the States after attending one day of talks in Lucerne. President Trump has warned Iranian officials to get serious. Meanwhile, Israel is showing concern since they are not part of the ongoing discussions. We'll talk at 8:15 this morning with ladonan Fishkin, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria. In national news, 5 people have been arrested and charged with vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. More arrests are possible. President Trump authorized spending over $14 million to clean the pool after years of neglect. Doesn't matter to political vandals who have threatened to do more damage as the country celebrates its 250th anniversary. Tucker Carlson, once the darling of Fox News until he was fired 3 years ago, says he's quitting the Republican Party. Carlson has made a living with his podcast, but that could be in danger after he renounced the GOP, who helped him achieve some degree of popularity. Carlson made the announcement last Thursday, but no one seemed to know or care until Kamala Harris campaign workers announced it on their website. The Federal Food and Drug Administration has announced the recall of more than 11,000 bottles of a blood pressure medicine called chlorthalidone. Officials said the medication failed dissolution specifications, meaning the pill didn't dissolve properly. And we just heard from Dr. Sidler, who explained why that's important and how the FDA goes about kind of testing and making decisions to recall the drugs. The former chairman of Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan, has died at the age of 100. Greenspan, who is married to NBC reporter Andrea Mitchell, served on the board for 18 years. And those are the headlines, Roger.
Thank you, Terry. And now a check of the weather brought to you by Steve Sink, managing partner of PHX Affiliates. Steve, you know, has been a business broker for over 20 years. He works with folks confidentially and professionally who are seeking to sell a business or maybe buy one. You can get more information from Steve Sink, who knows business, at PHX Affiliates, and Steve's phone number 309-696-8545. 08. Nice day today, sunny and pleasant, a high around 80, overnight low 60, tomorrow partly sunny, possible showers and thunder boomers after 3 tomorrow afternoon, the high tomorrow 82, tomorrow night's low 62, Thursday sunny and 82, and Friday partly sunny, afternoon showers possible, and a high near 80, that's on Friday. Right now, we are at 62 degrees, and if you're just joining us, we're chatting with CPA Matt Waugh of Gordon Stockman and Waugh, and when we left him, we were talking about money. And particularly,
name of the game anymore.
Yeah. Wouldn't you like to be the CPA for the coach for the Dallas Mavericks for $4 million and so forth?
Oh man, they get on all kinds of stuff when they get making that much money.
That's
sure.
almost obscene, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's. We have a few people in Peoria that generate that kind of income. Not too many though, but there are some.
Is it more difficult to deal with people in terms, I don't mean personality-wise or relation-wise, but with the numbers and the work, than somebody who makes $30,000 a year versus someone who makes $30 million a year?
Yeah, the biggest problem I have is that they forget what they bought during the year, and I got this other 1099 in the mail after I already prepared their return that I forgot I put money into. So
does that skewer the entire results that you almost have to start all over again?
Well, we have to amend it because they'll get a notice and then they'll get interest and penalties if they don't do anything. IRS will 99% of the time will catch that because they get a 1099 and they'll just send them a bill. And then we'll say, oh, yeah, you didn't report it. You didn't give it to us, so we'll just amend your return to include that.
I see. Yeah. You know, one of the things that many families face, and I've been to a couple of funerals in recent weeks and so forth, is that too often people, when they pass away, have not made preparations for making sure who gets what. Do you deal with that very often as a CPA?
Oh, yeah. We do a lot of estate and trust tax returns after people pass away. You know, like their executor or their children come in and say, hey, I've got this problem. My dad or my mom passed away, and I'm trying to find everything, and I can't find their email addresses or their phone, to get into their phone type of thing, or their account numbers at the bank. So it's good to write all those things down and give them to your kids or your executor. One of the main things that I find is, let's say you've passed away. Most of the time, you can look at their tax return if you can find it, their past tax returns, and see what kind of income they generated through bank accounts and dividends and that type of thing. But there are some other things that they have that you may not have any idea of, and one of them is life insurance. Life insurance, it doesn't appear on your tax return anywhere, and people have life insurance, and maybe they have the policy, maybe they don't. I mean, it's stuck in a drawer way back in the back. It's old, it's all paid up, but they don't know anything about it. So, there's all kinds of situations where that ends up in the unclaimed property down at the Illinois.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so people do have those occur, and they don't have any idea. So it's good to write things down and give them to, who you're going to have as your executor or somebody that. And it doesn't have to be your. In a family situation, it doesn't have to be your oldest child. It could be the one that actually knows money better than any of the other ones, and more is responsible, maybe more diligent than the older person that you have. So you could pick and choose who you want, or you could pick a friend. Mike, for instance, my executor is one of my friends. It's a CPA, and I've given him a list of things that I have in case I somehow end up in the wrong end of the street.
You wind up taking a dirt nap.
Yeah.
The winners would say.
Yeah, but what I've given him is a list of my policies, my insurance policies, and who the agent is and all that kind of stuff. so they can he can very easily call them up and get the information to file with the probate or non-probate or get the estate running smoothly.
Yeah. You know, one of the things some time ago I was reading, I thought, you know, if you had a will, that was it. But the will is not a do-all, is it?
No, and a lot of people don't have wills, and then it goes into how the law reads.
Probate, right?
Yeah, and there's ways around probate if you, first of all, if you're small, what they call a small estate, with
So what they call small potatoes?
yeah, small estate. You file a small estate affidavit with the court if your estate is under 150,000, and that'll get you off the rules of the probate court, which means you have to publish your obituary, not your obituary, but your death notice in the paper. So I said, well, what about today's paper situation? Peoria Journal-Star, hardly anybody gets the paper anymore. But the way I researched it, they said yes, the Peoria Journal-Star is still an okay avenue for posting your death in their digital copy of the paper. So just as long as it is available, it still counts. Now, if they took the paper version off just not going to have the paper version anymore, then they probably have to have another avenue, to publish your probate thing with the court. And it's usually, I don't know, it could be $500 to do it, to have it published in the certain amount of time.
And is it necessary to have it published?
Well, if you're probated, it is. If you're under the 150, you just file with the county.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Do that. Yeah. How about life insurance? That's not subject to inheritance or state tax, is it? The proceeds.
Could be. Yeah. Yes, it could be. It could be
Really?
if they're the owner of the policy. It could be. It depends on who is the beneficiary. It could be if it's your spouse, it may not be taxed.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not your spouse, it could be taxed. So a lot of people
How
put
about your children?
Yeah, it would be then.
Really?
Because you don't get a marital deduction for life insurance that you own.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people put it in trust that, they fall out of that situation. But right now, federally, you need like $15 million, $30 million if you're married to
I
even
think
occur.
we're safe.
Most people are.
Yeah.
In Illinois, however, it's one of 5 states that have a estate tax. Illinois has an estate tax for $4 million, so it's still a hefty number. But it's if you have a couple thousand shares of Caterpillar, you might be close to $4 million these days.
You bet
The way Caterpillar's
It's over $1,000 a share.
$1,000 a share.
Yeah, I remember when it was $25 a
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
in 2008.
What year was
Yeah.
that?
I think 2008.
Last I heard it was 904. Is it close to?
1,000 now.
It's over
I
1,000.
get calls every single day. Hey, if I sell these 100 shares, how much tax am I going to have to pay, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I got one lady that she has 38,000 shares of Caterpillar.
Oh my God.
Give me my pen.
Yeah.
Give me my pen. I got this.
Yeah.
38,000.
By the way, is she single?
Yes, she is actually.
Write the name down.
So you add 3 more zeros, right?
Yeah, she's got an estate problem. In other words,
38
she's single.
million.
That's why.
Oh my goodness! No. One of the things you hear from a lot of people is they hate paying taxes at death, as you know, commonly referred to as death tax. And I've heard that if you put money in an estate or a trust, that helps avoid the heavy taxes. Is that true?
It could if it's set up properly. There's like a what they call a marital trust, in which means it goes to your spouse, and if it goes to your spouse, it's a deduction on your estate tax return. So a lot of people do that. Trusts are good. They're expensive. They're usually used for.
How do you mean it's expensive?
Well, you have to have an attorney draft them for one
Okay,
thing,
all right.
and then when you do pass away, they have to be set up basically, because usually they're not set up until you pass away. Some are, but most of them are set up when somebody dies, and it goes into a marital, what they call a marital trust and a residual trust, and so now there's two of them, and you have to file tax returns for the trusts and pay attention to the language of the trust. So whoever the beneficiaries are, you got to follow those rules. So it's complicated. The language in it, sometimes they say, well, the kid's a kid still, but once he's 30, he can have the money. You know, he's put restrictions on it in the trust, so it goes until maybe age 30 for if the child is the only beneficiary, that would go till age 30, then it would be over with. Or there's situations where the child is handicapped, okay? So they set up things in a trust for that child, so he or she can't do their own
money at one time.
Yeah, or they can't. They don't know how to. They're incapable of doing that kind of stuff. So a bank, there's trust departments at banks that handle a lot of trusts. And they have investments for the trust that they follow.
Okay.
And, yeah, it's popular. It's expensive, and it trust would keep it. They say, oh, it'll keep you out of probate. Well, yeah, that's the only thing it is. It is it keeps it silent to the public. I mean, if you set up a trust, you don't have to do probate. But probate, you put it in the paper, but who actually goes and
Who
looks?
goes and reads that?
Yeah,
They
it
may
might be
read the obituary, but I don't think they go to the classifieds.
And unless you thought you were going to be in the will, you were, and
Yeah,
you went in
yeah,
and inspected it and said you were X date out of it somehow or something like that.
Do you find that many of your clients do not make preparations for their demise, regardless of what age?
Oh yeah, I mean they don't even know my dad died. I have no idea about anything. He just doesn't. Your father passed away, Roger, a long time ago, and he had a lot of stuff. We had to dig around, and I remember I did your dad's tax return, and I'd go to his house there, and he was very he kept his stuff to himself a lot, and I knew where his checkbook was, and it was in the drawer next to his chair.
Yeah, you're right.
In the living room there. So I hate to say this, but whenever Zach would get up and go to the bathroom, I'd open up the desk drawer and take the checkbook. And then I'd bring it back, and then when he'd go to the bathroom, I'd put it back in the drawer.
I knew you were good at what you did, but I didn't know you were Houdini. Now you see it, now you don't.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
Never was gone.
Because he was so tied to the vest about his stuff.
He certainly was, no question about it.
He had he knew what was going on, that's for sure. But a lot of people don't. They just don't write anything down, and you find out stuff later on. And a lot of the things that people argue about is what like their stuff, like their gun collection and their cars and this and that, and they get in fights over the little stuff. Because they thought, oh, that was supposed to go to me, and if it's not in the will or anything, well, it's kind of up for grabs as to who gets it. And a lot of people just go in and steal it right off. They go in.
I was just going to say,
they take it out.
Get carried away.
Yeah, they take. Well, wait a minute, that's not he didn't want you to have that.
I won't say it. I can't say it, but there was stuff being taken out of his room and Beeler home by some people.
Yeah, what do you recommend, and at what particular point in their lives, how they should consider what would happen to the family when they pass away?
Oh, I would do it as soon as you can, because there's you never know what's going to happen,
You
at
sure
any
don't.
given time.
It could happen 5 minutes from now.
That's right. And if you don't have it written down, and at least tell somebody what you can tell them. Oh, here's where my computer password is. Here's my life insurance. Here's this. Here's that. Here's where I want to be buried.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good one. I'm on the board of Springdale Cemetery, and they get people in there that just kind of, well, my dad died. I don't know what he wanted to do, but here I am, type of thing.
And here he is.
Yeah. We'll take care of it.
Yeah. By the way, have you seen a tremendous change in attitude about cremation over the years?
Yeah.
It was rare, and
Yeah.
I think because of the expense today, many people are opting for cremation
Yeah,
for their
that's
loved
it.
ones.
That memorial celebration of life.
Yep. And at the Springdale, we have a scatter garden, which is called a scatter garden because you go there and you scatter the ashes
Really?
in a
Interesting.
nice place. They have a nice memorial there, and you just go there and spill your ashes and scatter them around.
Scatter garden.
Yeah, scatter garden.
Where's Dad at? He's over the scatter garden.
Yeah, and there's
Sounds like-
plaques there. People buy.
Sounds like it could be a pub. The
Yeah,
garden.
yeah. And
Beer
they have
garden.
a space for it. You go there, and it's probably 100 foot by 100 feet. Maybe it's not. If it's a round thing, and you go there, and there's bushes and trees and woods. It's back in the woods,
Yeah.
but that's very popular because they only do. I bet they only do 100 burials a year, somewhere in there, and that's the biggest, second biggest cemetery in Illinois.
Springdale is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And
doubt it.
it-
You go down Memorial, you see it on the left and right.
It's very.
Above, below.
You can get lost in there too if you drive around.
Yeah, it's a large area. As a kid, that's not too far from where I lived, and we frequently went into the cemetery. I always thought it was spooky. I will say this: always treated the cemetery with respect and dignity. Never
No doubt about it.
did.
There's a
There
lot of
was
important
a
people
trend
that buried
amongst, at one time of older kids who would knock over
Knock things
tombstones,
knock things over.
and
I've seen
but
some results of that.
we were totally opposed to
We,
that.
we had a memorial last week where we honored 3 soldiers in the Revolutionary War. One of them was Lydia Moss Bradley's father.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was in the Revolutionary War, buried at Springdale. So we have this 3 plaques there for the 3 soldiers in the Revolutionary War that we just started this thing up.
Isn't that
That's a
something?
brand new thing for us. It's over by Soldiers Hill, which is kind of like a mini Arlington National Cemetery.
That's pretty neat, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've cleaned that up really nice.
Well, the whole
cleaned it-
cemetery has really been updated over the years.
That's the one on the north side of
Yeah, we have 1,100 veterans buried there at the Soldiers Hill, all the way back.
That's
very nice.
wonderful, the work that,
Good job.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. You read the headstones, and one of them said he was a horse shoer in World War I. In other words, he took care of the horses.
interesting.
That was his job in the World
Yeah,
Gotta
actually,
have their shoes.
yeah. As a kid, we used to enjoy reading the tombstones of older Americans
Yeah,
and
I'll go over there.
compare the dates of when they lived and try to picture what life was like
now-
in Peoria back then.
Now you can go in and kind of find your relatives in there and kind of check them out on the internet and find out if you're actually, there's a couple waughs in there, and I check, well, this is my grandpa's grandpa.
Yeah.
I go, oh, okay. I didn't know he was going to go be
They're
buried in
blood,
Spring.
blood relative.
Yeah, well, I'm adopted, so, but he's still my grandpa's.
So your grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, interestingly, my
grandpa's.
mother's father is buried in Springdale, but on the other side of War Drive.
Oh, okay.
It is an interesting plot. I don't know if you even bury people on that part of the cemetery
do.
anymore,
They
but
do.
he died many years ago in the 1940s, and that's where he's buried.
We had an interesting occurrence last year. One of our people he built a mausoleum for his family. 23 crypts in the mausoleum. Beautiful. He moved out of Peoria and he gave it to us. He donated it to us.
Wow.
That's something.
Isn't that
It
something?
was really, so now we're going to try to sell it.
Yeah.
We got to change the name on the top of it though, because it's
Well, any other financial tips for us this morning? We're talking with Matt Wall, CPA with Gordon Stockman Wall. Anything else you want to share with our audience?
another thing I would probably recommend. I know people don't like to give their accountants power of attorney for some reason. They don't like to give their, well, I don't need to give you my power of attorney. They think it's more powerful than it really is. Well, I try to get every taxpayer to give me an IRS power of attorney, because I can go in and look up if anything that happens to them with the IRS, I can go and look it up. And a lot of times they can't remember if they paid their tax, paid their estimates, got any 1099 for this bank they set up something with, and all that kind of stuff.
Roger, I got one quick question. I hear from some of my friends that do more investing than I do that Caterpillar will probably not split. They have not had a tendency to split in a number of years. Is that a fair statement? That you would think as it gets to be, in other words, I want to buy a Caterpillar stock right now. I can't buy it. I don't have $1,000 just to buy $1,000.
Yeah, it has split. It has split.
It has split,
Yeah.
but not recently.
No, not recently.
Some people say that Caterpillar won't split. I just find that hard to believe.
Yeah, it's getting up there. I mean,
It used to split over $90, $100. That's when it split, and that was years ago.
That's what I'm saying. It has not split.
But it hasn't
in
split
recent years.
back.
yeah, they'll get to a point where they'll
have
you're
to.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, I got $1,000, but that won't even buy one share.
That's right.
So if I,
Yeah, and then you got to worry about that one share a little bit.
yeah, there's.
Oh, I got Caterpillar stock.
I think there's a lot of stocks that are going to think about splitting to
Somebody's
make
got
them more.
38,000, but somebody's got one.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Well, as always, Matt Wall, thanks for coming in. Anything else you want to share?
Not right now. I mean, just keep plugging away.
Yeah.
Get your stuff in line. It won't be long.
Yeah.
We're closer to Christmas now than the last one almost. I called
Exactly.
June 25th. You better, I tell my wife, you better start, thinking about Christmas. 'Cause
How can you do that? It's June.
well, yeah, but just thinking.
We've got Thanksgiving, and we've got Halloween yet, and 4th of July.
Closer to Christmas than
Oh,
the next
oh,
Christmas
Merry
than the
Christmas.
old
Past
Christmas.
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Matt
get ready.
Wall.
And I love that Christmas in July hallmarks. I get to see snow and skating. And
Oh my goodness, that guy's thinking about
I love
Santa Claus already.
I love
Matt
it.
Wall, thanks for coming in. God bless you.
Oh,
As always.
See you, Matt.
See
We'll
you
be
later,
right
you
back
guys.
after this message. Don't go away.
They are our cuddlers and coworkers, purr machines and love bugs, and constant companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life so much better. When we face unexpected challenges in life, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people who love their pets and the pets who love their people, ensuring these families stay exactly where they belong, together. And you have something to offer. With an open heart and mind, there is nothing you can't do. There's no gesture too small or too big when it comes to helping. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. You can help keep pets and people together. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Okay, that wraps things up with hour number 2 of Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU FM 90.7 in wonderful Peoria, Illinois. Also on YouTube. Good to see everybody joining us on YouTube today as well. News, weather, sports coming up at the top of the hour, and then we're going to talk with fishkin. She is the executive director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria. We'll get her thoughts about what's going on in the Middle East, in particular, how's that affecting the good people of Israel. So stay tuned for that. Tuesday, the 23rd of June, and we continue our program, Breakfast with Roger and Friends, on WAZU with a check of the weather. You know, losing a pet affects just about everyone. The caring people at Peoria Pet Crematory know that. That's why they're available 24/7 to help you through the grieving process, offering several choices for care and remembrance. Peoria Pet Crematory, you can reach them 24/7 at 309-713-1898. It'll be sunny, and it's sunny. A pleasant day today, a high around 80 degrees. Just gorgeous for this time of the year. We'll take it and run with it. Tonight, partly cloudy, overnight low 60. And tomorrow it'll be partly sunny, possible showers and thunderboomers after 3 in the afternoon tomorrow. Tomorrow's high 82, and tomorrow night's low 62. Thursday, sunny and 82, and Friday, partly sunny, afternoon rain and a high of 80, and we're up to 64 degrees. And now, with our lead story, with more news, here's Teri.
Peoria City Council members tonight will discuss a proposal from the city's police department to hire 6 unarmed community service members to patrol the downtown area at an annual cost of $500,000. The personnel would have no police powers, no weapons, and no authority to make arrests. They would monitor potential trouble spots and incidents and provide information to police. An interesting proposal worthy of additional consideration.
And a late story from Peoria Police following a shooting last Saturday, shortly before 3 in the morning. Officers respond to a 14-round shot spotter alert in the area of Sheridan and McClure. They found nothing at the scene, but learned later a man went to a local hospital with a gunshot wound to the leg. He'll recover as police seek the identity of the gunman.
They're still talking in Switzerland about terms to end the war between the United States and Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance is back in the States after attending one day of talks in Lucerne. President Trump has warned Iranian officials to get serious. Meanwhile, Israel is showing concern since they are not part of the ongoing discussions. We'll talk at 8:15 this morning with Ladonan Fishkin, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria.
In national news, 5 people have been arrested and charged with vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. More arrests possible. President Trump authorized spending over $14 million to clean the pool after years of neglect. Doesn't matter to those political vandals who've threatened to do more damage as the country attempts to celebrate its 250th anniversary.
Tucker Carlson was the darling of Fox News until he was fired 3 years ago, says he's quitting the Republican Party. Carlson has made a living with his podcast, but that could be in danger after he renounced the GOP, who helped him achieve some degree of popularity. Carlson made the announcement last Thursday, but no one seemed to know or care until Kamala Harris campaign workers announced it on their website. Carlson wrongly predicted Trump would lose his 2016 election bid because thousands of Republicans were going to vote for Bernie Sanders.
The Federal Food and Drug Administration has announced the recall of more than 11,000 bottles of a blood pressure medicine called chlorthalidone. Officials said the medication failed dissolution specification. Simply put, the pill didn't dissolve properly, and we heard additional information a few minutes ago from Dr. Sidler and some other explanations as well about how the FDA is able to analyze samples to say, hey, this stuff isn't working like it's supposed to.
The former chairman of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan, has died at the age of 100. Greenspan, who is married to NBC reporter Andre Mitchell, served on the board for 18 years.
At last night's Peoria School Board meeting, Superintendent Dr. Sharon Karat said goodbye to everybody. She's retiring after 11 years. She started with the district July of 2015, and Dr. Karat thanked everyone and said she is planning to remain in Peoria. Well, that's good to hear. At the meeting, on the other hand, Demarius Boone, he's chief of school resource officers, was heavily criticized for his expression of support for the convicted killer, 19-year-old Carmela Anthony, in Frisco, Texas, you'll recall. Anthony stabbed to death 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Boone allegedly blamed the dead teenager for his own demise and heard about it from some folks who were unhappy about what he posted. A school board basically said he had a right to express his opinion, and so he did. At any rate, that's a look at some of the stories we're following. Now let's turn to WCBU with news brought to you by Sam Lilly and Associates, providing a comprehensive range of insurance products, including personal auto, home life, and medical coverage. Sam specializes in Medicare plans and options, something Sam has been doing during his 40 years in the business. He knows insurance, and you can have any question answered by calling Sam at your pleasure at 309-245-4374.
From the WCBU Newsroom, I'm Ryan Denham. Peoria Riverfront Museum President John Morris says their participation in the upcoming Great American State Fair in Washington is not intended to be political. The event in the National Mall is organized by the White House-backed Freedom 250 organization. Morris says the museum volunteered for Illinois when the state opted against having official presence.
There was no partisan motive for doing it. There is only the motive of being proud of our state and wanting to represent it at the official celebration on the National Mall.
Moore says his understanding is that Illinois chose not to participate for budget reasons. Several other Democratic-led states have also declined. Moore says Peoria's exhibition will include a hologram of Abraham Lincoln. The 16-day celebration is set to begin Thursday. The Peoria Police Department is seeking approval to hire 6 civilian community service officers to increase the enforcement presence downtown. The City Council is expected to vote on that request at Tuesday night's meeting. The unarmed community service officers would focus on public safety and community services. Their combined salaries would total just over $500,000. Other items set to go before the council include a redevelopment agreement tied to the Keller Station Business District and final approval for a Dutch Bros coffee shop at the intersection of University Street and War Memorial Drive. The East Peoria Police Department is now operating out of its new headquarters on Camp Street. The transition into the $22 million two-story facility started Monday morning. The new building has more than 40,000 square feet of functional space, with upgraded technology and a dedicated community room. Beginning next Monday, police services will no longer be available at the Washington Street location. The doors have opened at Tazewell County's new $4 million animal control facility. Not for the animals being cared for by the county, they're coming soon, but for invited guests who toured the facility on the county's Tremont campus. The new facility is twice as big as the old one, and county officials say it's safer for animals and the staff because of a state-of-the-art ventilation system. Among the new facility's amenities are a veterinarian suite and dedicated spaces for adoption visits. Find more news at WCBU.org. I'm Ryan Denham.
All right, Ryan, thanks for the update on WCBU. Let's turn to Mike Olson. He has sports with us. And, Mike, what do you have? What's on the scoreboard?
Well, on the scoreboard is the World Cup. Last night in the World Cup, Argentina 2 and Austria 0. But the big thing was 38-year-old Messi, one of the biggest names in all of soccer, especially men's soccer. He passes a gentleman by the name of Klose, Klose, as the leading goal scorer ever in the men's World Cup competition. So congratulations to Messi, the big name in FIFA soccer right now, and enjoying their World Cup tournament. USA plays Thursday in the World Cup. They play Turkey at 9 p.m. They've already cinched the advancement out of their pool. There's I think he said 48 pools, if I'm not mistaken, and United States is doing well so far. They're 2-0. Cubs rained out last night in New York City against the Mets. They will play tonight at 6:10, and then they'll make up one of those games. The game they lost Monday as part of a doubleheader, a day-night doubleheader on Wednesday at 12:10 and 6:10 p.m. On the south side of Chicago, it was the Cleveland Guardians and the White Sox going at it. The White Sox snagged victory from the jaws of defeat. They had a 2-run RBI game walk-off single by Springfield native Sam Antonacci went to Springfield Griffin High School, Heartland Community College in Coastal Carolina, and is now playing in the left field daily for the Chicago White Sox, who are now in first place in the AL Central. To put it in perspective, the Cubs are in third place, 7 games out of first.
How many games out of last?
Yeah, I think there's somebody that's got 50.
I think 2 or 3.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I looked at the positive side of it. They got
I know.
They got
yeah.
7 or so to gain to get back to first. The White Sox are sitting in first, and they will battle the team they're tied with tonight.
Cleveland.
Again, in Cleveland.
The Cleveland Indians.
Cleveland Indians, now known as the Guardians.
Oh, boo.
Cardinals are in St. Louis playing the Diamondbacks. They won last night 3-2 in a squeaker. They will play at 6:45 tonight. Michigan's former head coach, Dusty May, who led them to a national NCAA Division I championship just in April, is said to be finalizing his contract today with the Dallas Mavericks of the NBA. He'll be Dallas's new head coach. All of NCAA sports ended last night. The last thing they have always is the College World Series, which is played in Omaha, Nebraska. The D1 College World Series champion is the Oklahoma Sooners. They defeated the North Carolina Tar Heels 13-2 in what I would call a blowout. And congratulations to Oklahoma. They won it in 24, and I think they won it in 51. It was their third national championship. And that's sports on WAZU 90.7 FM in lovely Peoria, Illinois, and on the World Wide Web, care of Roger and Friends, LS.
You got it. Sports with Mike Olson. We'll be right back. We're going to talk to LaDonna Fishkin, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria, so stay tuned. But first, this message.
Is making a strange noise. No matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
All right, boys and girls, it's hour number 3 of Breakfast with Roger and Friends. And we're delighted to welcome a good friend to our program. She's been on before, LaDonna Fishkin, the Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria. Good morning, LaDonna.
Good morning. Good morning.
I like the way you greeted me. You said the sun is shining. And isn't that what they sing? Isn't that what the little girl sang in Annie? The sun is shining. I guess not.
The sun will come out.
There, you got it. You got it. You know, they're in high-level talks to hopefully put an end to the fighting in the Middle West. But things are going on in Israel, and I know you're basically, I think, in touch and contact with people every day in Israel. What's going on in Israel as we speak today? By the way, what time would it be in Israel right now?
About 4 o'clock in the afternoon right now.
Okay. And what's happening? What are people telling you what's going on?
Well, right now, I will tell you that, you know, the IDF, the military, still remains in, like, behind a yellow line in Gaza. It's the border with Israel, still trying to make sure that all the tunnels have been destroyed and watching for any kind of action that may, you know, they had to eliminate a couple terrorists just the other day who were coming across the yellow line. So they're monitoring that closely. But to my knowledge, there have not been any rockets recently from Gaza. But the north still continues to be on a higher alert with Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Lebanese government has distanced itself from Hezbollah, but Hezbollah is very entrenched, and the south is difficult because it's, they share a border. I mean, it's the same land practically, but the IDF continues to operate there. We had a huge casualty the other day where an anti-tank missile hit a tank, and then they have these new drones that can't be detected until they're almost on top of you. And the drone, consider it a drone to be like a kid on a video game, and they can fly these drones into spaces. So sadly, there were 4 young men, Israelis, killed in that action. What was difficult was they mentioned the first name of one of the casualties, but then they didn't mention the other 3, and I was with a couple dozen Israelis from the north just last week, and it was incredibly stressful because 2 of the women have sons that are serving, and, not knowing if your son is one of these. Fortunately, we found out none were the sons of people we know, but sadly, these young people, ages 20 and 21, died. Now, right after that, the ceasefire began. I have not seen any activity per se. The drones that they have, though, the new drones, they cannot be detected with radar, things like this. They put up nets trying to capture these things, but they're very effective, and it's very challenging. There's a lot of stress. And there's stress for the Lebanese. It's very sad because the Lebanese people evacuated the villages in the south because the IDF said they were going to do maneuvers there to eradicate Hezbollah. And then because the word ceasefire comes out in the media, they're like, oh, we should head back. And the IDF has issued a statement saying do not return to such and such villages because they're still active Hezbollah in that area. And, in every effort, they're trying to protect the average citizen. But, I understand, people want to be in their homes on all levels. And so it's sad, but we're hopeful. I don't know anybody that on both, I'm sure on the Lebanese side, the Lebanese people want normalcy. I know that the Israelis want normalcy, but we also need to be able to put our heads on our pillows at night and be safe. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. LaDonna, tell our listeners how you protect school children, and if there is an alert, where do the children go, and have there been any studies done on the level of anxiety young people in Israel are growing up in this kind of war environment?
Yeah, sadly, there's been a lot of research on this, and I actually was in a few meetings on that. Think about our own children. All of the kids had this disruptiveness of COVID, which meant no schools. And in Israel, they could, not like the U.S. where they said, oh, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. They actually had on their phones, like people couldn't leave a perimeter of their home and stuff like that during COVID, and schools were canceled. Now schools have been canceled so much for the last couple of years. A lot of my friends have kids in high school, and there's a lot of, their education system is different in the sense that the kids really have to be productive in high school and take a lot of tests just to find out if they're, allowed to do certain things within the country. Like, college comes after your service, your mandatory service to the country. So if you don't test well, it's not a bad thing, but you might only be allowed to work in a park or a museum versus like a high level, be a pilot or something like that. And this is all dependent on this phase of their lives. But if they're not in school and there's bonding trips that they should have been doing with their scout groups and stuff. But one of my friends, her son, who is 12 years old, has been sleeping with them for the last 3 years. He's just afraid to sleep on his own. And
Yeah.
a lot of the kids have been at home. If they have been able to go to school, only the number of kids that can fit in the shelter of the school are able to go. Now, on playgrounds, they have playground equipment that's reinforced for a child to hide under temporarily. It's very, very stressful.
Sad.
I wouldn't wish this on any child for sure.
Yeah, it's just absolutely terrible. How do you feel? You just came back from Israel. Did you feel safe and secure and comfortable flying into a country that's under attack by some people who hate Jews?
Well, there's some anxiety associated with that, of course. But, when the intelligence is good and the pilots are well equipped and people know what they're doing. I mean, they cancel a lot of flights, I will tell you.
Okay.
And a lot of airlines have pulled out, and they keep extending the dates and things like that. So, which is another huge stressor on the, when your father can't work because his business is going under because it's reliant on the economy of tourism. It's just very, very difficult. But, God willing, things will get better.
Yeah, I want to ask you somewhat of a political question, and that is, I have a hard time understanding members of the Jewish faith in Congress who seem to be voting or expressing thoughts that are divisive. Now, that isn't any different than Americans, but as an example, I'm not overly fond of some of the things that Chuck Schumer does or Congressman Goldman. Is it difficult? Because I know the Jewish Federation of Peoria and other communities want to stay away from the politics, but it's almost sometimes impossible. Is it not for you?
So, I would answer that the same way. I would just say Jews are people, right?
Yes.
And we all have varying opinions. Yes, wouldn't we like to think that every Catholic in the world was happy with the Pope or every Jew?
You're right. You're right. That's a good answer.
Yeah, and so, on a personal level, I can be somewhat disappointed, but on the other hand, I am so proud. I may not agree with somebody, but if somebody is exercising their right to speak and try to represent their constituents, representation is very important in this country. And if they're speaking for their constituents, then they're doing their job. And it may not be my opinion, but then it's my job to vote and to make sure that my elected officials, and I feel fortunate in this area. I've met with other elected officials in this community, and I appreciate their support of our, the Jewish community or other aspects. You want your representatives to represent you, but just like that, I can take my neighborhood. There are a lot of opinions in my neighborhood. So,
you're right.
If there's three people, there's a lot of opinions.
The three opinions.
And you know what? But aren't we lucky? And
you're
I'm
right.
so concerned for our future because I'm concerned that violence takes over, rather than allowing people the freedom to really express their opinions and maybe learn. There's been a lot of situations where I'm in a conversation and I don't agree with the person I'm talking with, but I listen and I'm like, maybe I should think about this or explore this a little bit more. And when you explore that, either you can change your opinion or you can be reinforced with what your own ideas are. We're very lucky.
Yeah. On a personal level, I know we've talked about this before, you feel reasonably safe and secure in Peoria?
I do.
Thank you.
You know what? I mean, I just, like I said, I just went to this meeting. It was filled with people in 17 communities in the U.S. We're all part of a partnership, Budapest and Israel from the Western Galilee. And it was held in the Midwest. It was in Indianapolis. And I can tell you, these people were so impressed with the warmth that they feel in the Midwest.
Yep.
It's just, it makes me very proud
Yep.
to say that I'm from the Midwest.
That's right.
So, yeah, there are always issues, of course. I remember my grandmother always being upset with the neighbor who let her dog poop on her yard, right?
Yeah.
So, but overall, I think this is a very good place, and I love Peoria because I have lived here now for 30 years, and I've watched it, and I think that, you know, when I first moved here, I moved here from Hawaii, so I was in a bit of a culture shock. But the Asian population has increased, and they brought a lot of wealth of knowledge and hard work to this area, and that's good Midwestern values.
There
and that's
you go.
What I
That's
love.
the word.
I think you were happy about that dog pooping in your yard to learn that it was not a Jewish dog.
It was also fertilizing.
You know what? I have no idea, to tell you the honest truth. I just know my grandmother was a stickler out to the curve of her.
Yeah.
She wanted everything just right.
Yeah. Well, as you know, we love you, and we love the Jewish people, and I'm proud to say I fly the Jewish flag at my house, and I root that this scenario that's taking place, and I don't know what other term to use it, will end in peace for all people. There are people who say that there will never be peace in the Middle East, but I never like to say never, and we continue
Well, we
to
always
pray.
remain hopeful. We always remain hopeful. I don't understand politics, though. Like, for example, I don't understand how you can have negotiations about people and the direction of their lives and not have them present in the room. You know, that's a little confusing to me, but it'd be like well, I guess it reminds me of being a kid and your parents make a lot of decisions and you're not in the room. So maybe, I don't know, but I'm praying for a good outcome for everyone. This world is an amazing place, and we need to direct it in that direction. Unfortunately, the last 24 hours, I don't know, I'm sure you've watched it because you're very good with the news, but my biggest concern was with the shooting in Montreal. What's happening in Canada is heartbreaking, and I don't understand what's going on, and so...
LaDonna, this is Terry.
Yeah.
I don't have cable right now, and so I missed out on a lot of the news. What happened in Montreal?
Oh my gosh. There was a terrorist shooter that went out and kind of took out a policeman, killed a policeman, injured another policeman, went to it was a Jewish part of the city, and unfortunately a rabbi was also killed.
Oh my goodness.
And people had their children on those streets just prior to that, and it's so hard to see a policeman down like that in front. And another policeman almost was killed because the sniper came around the corner. Unfortunately, the SWAT teams took that person out. But this is not this is not a movie. This is real life.
This is real life. Yes.
Yeah, and things in Canada are very, very difficult. Toronto is having a lot of issues too, and it makes me sad because I have family in Canada, but B, I always, as a kid growing up, just thought of Canada as a good neighbor and friend to the U.S. So just to hear these things going on is heartbreaking. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
We're unaware of when did this happen?
When did it happen? Let me look. I've got it on my phone. When did I first see? Sorry, I've got to get past all the Israeli stuff. Here we go. Reports of active shooting in Canada. Do I have a time stamp? That was at noon our time. Is when I got the first time stamp.
Yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we don't have
anything on our screen.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, it was huge.
This was in Montreal.
In Montreal, their initial reports indicate an hostage situation near a kosher supermarket. One police officer has been reported killed in action. I'm just reading what's flipping on my phone. This says, I think they thought there was numerous terrorists. I know one is in custody if there were numerous. They were dressed in like tactical gear of some sort. They evacuated the civilians. Let's see. Say the armed suspect who triggered an imminent threat alert has been neutralized. So they did kill one of the terrorists. 2 police officers and 1 civilian were injured. The threat was ongoing. The SWAT team was in there. Yeah, Montreal is a beautiful city.
Yeah, very nice.
It's a French influence, unlike Toronto, who's more cosmopolitan. 2 killed, including police officer in shooting in
Montreal.
Montreal.
There it is.
A police officer killed Monday in shooting in Montreal, according to details. And there's no immediate word on the motive of the attack.
Yeah, we don't know yet,
That
but it happened
took place around kosher restaurants and supermarkets
Frequented
by Montreal's Jewish community.
And God bless that. You know, the policemen step in the line of. They don't ask if you're a Jew or something else. They just are there to protect society, and it's just heartbreaking. I mean, especially because my son used to want to be a policeman, and I was, oh my gosh.
You were able to talk him out of it.
Isn't that sad? I had 2 uncles that are policemen, and I just think what they put up with every single day is just unbelievable.
And their wives must kiss them every morning.
Yeah, just think they have when they go to work. I often
That's
think
exactly
of that
right.
also.
You didn't know if they were going to come home
If
that night.
she's home with the 2 or 3 kids.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know.
Thanks for that information.
As you
Sure, and when I
indicated,
hear things like this, I take a moment to pray. I
and
I pray for the families involved. I pray, you even pray that people that have these evil intentions, maybe something will happen that they will see the light. I don't know. Maybe I've watched too many movies, but.
But you're right. They did kill the shooter.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's not clear to me if there was more than one.
Okay.
All right.
And the officer who was shot apparently might have been a Muslim because his first name was Muhammad. So and I can't come close to pronouncing the last name. But well, our thoughts and prayers are with Israel and the people of the Jewish faith, including ladonan. Always wonderful to talk to you and get some insights that you typically don't get in the news. And you do have a communication system. If there's an alert in Israel, you know it at about the same time, do you not?
Yes.
I do. Matter of fact, when I was with the Israelis, because the ceasefire had not happened yet, all of our phones went off at the same time. So.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, let's keep our hopes up.
I want to give you some. Let me give you some insight to PTSD.
Okay.
2 of the Israelis were with me. It wasn't last week. It was the week before when we had that Thursday storm. And I met them in Chicago. It took me 5 hours instead of 3 because of the weather.
Wow.
And then we were all together. We were walking through the Pedway in Chicago, and all of a sudden our phone starts alarming, but it was the weather alarm. And there was a tornado warning in Chicago, but you should have seen their faces. I mean, I'm a Midwesterner, so I didn't really think right away, but I knew it was bad weather. And they're like, what do we do? What do we do? And I'm like, well, the good news is you're in the pedway, because that would probably be the safest place. But I could see the concern. I'm like, this is, and then they didn't understand a tornado warning. They're like, oh my gosh.
One's been spotted.
Yeah, and it really hit parts of the city, but we were quite safe. But I just felt badly that here they came, and I'm exposing them to yet more trauma. But I offered them a good meal after that.
Well, that'll calm everybody down with the good food.
Yeah.
LaDonna, it's always a pleasure talking to you. God bless you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you,
I
Lynette.
appreciate your support. Thank you.
Some
bet.
nice insights.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. LaDonna Fishkin, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria. It's always a pleasure talking with her, and she gives us inside information you don't get from national or local media, and we enjoy talking with her. In the meantime, let's bring you up to date with our news that we have this morning. And our news this morning brought to you as a service of Morton Community Banks. Over 50 branches across central and northwestern Illinois offering a full range of personal and business banking services. Hometown banks, FDIC insured, so your deposits are safe. Look for the clock tower and you'll know they have time for you, and we have time for Terry and the headlines.
Peoria City Council members tonight will discuss a proposal from the city's police department to hire 6 unarmed community service members to patrol the downtown area at an annual cost of $500,000. The personnel would have no police powers, no weapons, and no authority to make arrests. They would monitor potential trouble spots and incidents and provide information to police. An interesting proposal worthy of additional consideration. A late story from Peoria Police following a shooting this past Saturday morning, shortly before 3 a.m. Officers responded to a 14-round shot spotter alert in the area of Sheridan and McClure. They found nothing at the scene, but learned later a man went to a local hospital by car complaining of a gunshot wound to the leg. He'll recover as police seek the gunman's identity. They're still talking in Switzerland about terms to end the war between the United States and Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance is back in the States after attending one day of talks in Lucerne. President Trump has warned Iranian officials to get serious. Meanwhile, Israel is showing concern since they are not part of ongoing discussions. In national news, 5 people have been arrested and charged with vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. More arrests are possible. President Trump authorized spending over $14 million to clean the pool after years of neglect. Doesn't matter to political vandals who've threatened to do more damage as the country celebrates its 250th anniversary. Tucker Carlson, once the darling of Fox News until he was fired 3 years ago, says he's quitting the Republican Party. Carlson has made a living with his podcast, but that could be in danger after he renounced the GOP, who helped him achieve some degree of popularity. Carlson made the announcement last Thursday, but no one seemed to know or care until Kamala Harris campaign workers announced it on their website. The Federal Food and Drug Administration has announced the recall of more than 11,000 bottles of a blood pressure medicine called chlorthalidone. Officials said the medication failed its solution specifications, which means, simply put, the pill didn't dissolve properly. The former chairman of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan, has died at the age of 100. Greenspan, who is married to NBC reporter Andrea Mitchell, served on the board for 18 years. And those are the headlines, Roger.
Thank you, Terry. And now a check of the weather brought to you this morning by Spoon River Home Health, bridging the gap in healthcare since 1993. Spoon River has been caring for people of all ages in their homes where recovery and healing faster and more comfortable. Learn more from Spoon River Home Health by calling 309-245-0723. Beautiful morning, beautiful day today in central Illinois and Peoria, Illinois. It'll be sunny and pleasant with a high around 80. Overnight low under partly cloudy skies, 60. Tomorrow another nice day, partly sunny. Possible showers and thunderstorms later in the afternoon after 3 p.m. tomorrow. The high 82. Tomorrow night's low 62. Looking ahead in the week, Thursday sunny and 82, Friday partly sunny, afternoon showers and thunder boomers, and a high near 80. And right now we are at 67 degrees. That's your live weather report on Breakfast with Roger and Friends. Next, our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Has your cat gone wild? Well, I have some ideas for you to consider that should solve those problems. When your cat claws at your furniture, experts say that they are scratching to stretch their muscles. So first, cover the commonly target area with double sticky tape. They don't like the stickiness. This will stop it. Then buy a scratching post and place it near the piece of furniture that has been the usual target. Make sure to buy a post that is tall enough for your cat to extend their entire body while clawing at the post. This should do the trick. If they are not using the litter box, you may need to change it more often. Some cats are so fussy and clean that the owners must scoop the litter each day. This also keeps your house smelling nicer too. If a cat is urinating often, then the entire litter must be changed out. This, however, might also be a signal to see the vet. Frequent urination can be a sign of urinary tract infections or kidney disease. Catch it early and it's workable. Let it go and you may be seeing a great expense to cure it. What do you do when your cat bites or scratches you during play? Stop all interaction with them, turn around, and leave the room for just a few minutes. This conditions your cat to realize that when they scratch or bite, their playmate will leave. After a timeout, you can go back to playing, but try to do so at a lower intensity. These helpful hints should solve your problems and keep both you and your cat from going crazy. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Thank you, Louis Linder. I love the pet tip of the day, and thanks to the good people at Peoria Pet Crematory for making it possible. Hey, it's time for This Day in History. Put your thinking caps on, Terry and Mike. I think you're going to get this question with some good clues from yours truly, at least we hope so at any rate. June 23rd, 1972, something took place in the United States relative to the field of education. What was it?
Title IX?
Title IX is correct. Take your hand off it. That now hit. There you go. Boy, you
I don't
you
get to ring it
waited.
for me very much.
Yeah,
It's
well,
usually
you
Terry.
named it.
No, education, like that's your area.
Yeah.
Title IX of the 1972 Federal Education Amendment was enacted into law. Title IX prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in any federally funded educational institution. The law states that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activities receiving federal financial assistance. Now, I ask you, did this help women's sports?
Oh, definitely. I mean, prior to that, they had some PE classes, and they would scrimmage against each other. But I remember going to the first Bergen at Richwoods girls basketball team in the 72-73 season when I was teaching at Bergen, and to see those girls and in what I call really true competition of the best girls against the best girls of the two schools, for the most part. I mean, that's what you're doing when you see a varsity athletic event.
Okay.
You have the best players, and up until then, they had what they called a girl. When I was going to Richwoods, we had a girls athletic association.
The GAA.
Yeah, GAA,
But that
right,
was more
exactly.
within-
Yeah.
I remember the
Yeah.
acronym now, right? you're
But that
right.
was within our school
But it was
itself.
all within the school, so, and it was very good. I mean, it was nothing, it's no different. Boys had, I remember playing some intramural basketball, there too, which was relatively the same thing. But it surely wasn't like playing on Friday night when you played Central or Spalding or Richwoods, or when I was at Bergen, when I was at Richwoods myself. But I was teaching at Bergen when I saw but you can see that all of our women's sports in the Olympics have just gotten better and better and better because of the high school competition and the girls' grade school competitions, and a development is what it is. They get the development much more than just having to join a private club, or which some do anyway. But no, it's been a big boost to women's athletics. And I know I watched my first women's basketball college game. I used to look forward to watching this Caitlin Clark play for Iowa. I mean, she was phenomenal. I mean,
All right, now I'll play the devil's advocate. It was important that this be a part to enhance, embellish, and expand opportunities for women in sports. However, the age-old argument continues that the unfairness of the funding continues to be debated, with the counter-argument that people aren't supporting women's sports, where they are supporting men's sports by putting butts in the seats.
Right, and that will always be the case. The money generates the path. There's no question about it. If you, I don't know if I think I did when Joe Stoll was coaching. I went to a women's basketball game or two. But I mean, even I talk to friends that go to Bradley University's women's basketball games right now, and they say that, and they play in very nice
in the Renaissance
Center.
Yeah.
But the crowds are very sparse.
Correct.
They're I mean, Bradley's not drawn at the Civic Center what they did at the field house, but there's still 5,000 on the average that are there, and the big games will draw as many.
In men's basketball.
Yeah. So and of course, where does the donations and the sponsorships and the booster clubs go? They go to the ones that will do the best for their business too. I don't care what anybody's,
right,
whether they be insurance men or whether they be there's more to gain by supporting in general. Now, in some places, that's not the truth. You go to a volleyball game in Nebraska or some of these places that have high volleyball for women.
Heavily attended. You're right.
It's sold out.
But that's rare.
That's rare. No, you're right. There's still that big discrepancy, and I think part of it is it's grown. It's just
it's a much larger.
Boys athletics. I mean, we can show you pictures of the early 1900s at Peoria High School where they won a state basketball championship. Mm-hmm. With the boys, of course. The girls have only had state championships, in my opinion, since the early 70s. So it's 1970s, not 1908 or 1912 or back when they were started with the boys. But and even the girl, like the College World Series for baseball, is sold out at that place in Omaha. I watched it again last night.
Yeah, but many college baseball games are not well attended, and that includes Bradley, where they have they play at Dozer Park, and the women, I believe, play at Louisville Sluggers, do they not? Yeah.
And they're both about the same. There's a couple hundred there.
Yeah.
At max. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, the bottom line is, you guys did a great job.
Yeah.
With finding the answer to this day in history.
Yeah.
I would also, since we're talking about sports, if there have been any studies about brain injuries in soccer, because, you know, I have more than a passing interest and knowledge. One of the theories about my wife's benign brain tumor that nonetheless was near-death experience because her cavernous sinus meningioma was next to the brainstem, and if it continued to grow, that would be it. At any rate, one of the theories, as we talked to neurologists at the Mayo Clinic and also John Hopkins, is what caused it. And one of the theories, well, there are two theories. One was female hormones, and the other was head injuries. And on more than one occasion, they asked her and asked me, do you remember falling down? Do you remember hitting your head at any time during your lifetime? And remembered one occasion where she fell while the RV was moving. We were on our way down to Champaign with a group of people in our RV to see a football game, and she fell. But I don't remember her, and she doesn't either, hitting her head. Having said that, and I don't know if there's any conclusive research or studies that have been performed about the connection between head injuries and brain tumors, but if you watch the soccer games, a lot of the players are using their heads to hit the ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Some of the niftiest, I'll call them niftiest goals are scored on what they call a header. They'll get the sidekick coming in, and then the guy comes and just basically rams his head into the ball with the double force of the ball coming.
Exactly.
There's a reunion there between the head and the ball. Now, of course, it's not a bullet or it's not a shot put or anything like that. It's a relatively but there's still.
But there's impact.
There's impact.
You can't minimize it.
I don't like to see, especially girls playing what they call bombardment, in the gym classes.
Well, do you remember what we played in gym? Dodgeball.
That's what I'm thinking. I said bombardment, but that's what it ends up being.
It was dodgeball, and then, haven't they outlawed that as a physical activity in PE class
Well, they
now?
were still doing it at Bergen a couple of years ago.
Oh, really?
I would sub in PE, and you would see these poor group of girls that weren't athletic, and
That would have been me.
right, and they're standing as far as they can on the far wall, and you can just see they're almost ducking before a ball's even thrown. And I said, guys, please, throw it.
I was going to say it was co-educational, wasn't it?
PE all went when I was at Richwoods too in the 70s, middle 70s, when boys, there was no such thing as girls' PE, and you had.
No, we still had girls' PE and boys' PE.
Yeah, but it probably happened maybe a little later, even the 70. I know what year you graduated because you told me 75. But somewhere between, I was there 75 through teaching PE through about 81 or 82, because then I taught some math again, and we had square dancing. We had, but most of the but what I did, and I'm not afraid to say it, is the girls competed against the girls and the boys competed. If we had a gym, we had two ends. We played half court. And same thing. We had flicker ball where you throw a football through almost a hole in a bank board, and soccer and a lot of the activities they could at least. But once again, that wasn't all the girls either. That's why we had to have some girls on girls too, I thought.
Yeah, and the biggest blows in sports, however, when it comes to head injuries, is in football. I mean, I don't know how many plays I've seen where a guy puts his head down. And
I heard talk again, like in California, for example. They offer so many things. They offer flag football now at the interscholastic level.
Yeah.
Well, we're offering flag football for girls here now.
Oh, shoot. We played that when I was in grade school.
Yeah.
Flag football.
Yeah, now the girls are playing, and Bradley's going to have a women's flag football club this coming year. They're going to have women's hockey starting within a year or two.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I mean, and I think what they're doing is they're finding that these these club sports will attract, if a girl, say a youth girl hockey player, and they have girls teams now, and knows that Bradley has a club like they do for hockey for the men. They have, since Speed Bartismanian started it, a lot of people don't realize there's a hockey team at Bradley. Now, is it a varsity sport? No, it's a club sport. Some of the clubs are, you can't.
That means they play competitively, but it's not a league.
It's not in NCAA.
And not in Missouri Valley.
But they'll play like ISU. They'll play Eastern. They'll play Southern. That all and all the some of the HBCUs are even starting clubs. Yeah.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up with a check of the weather, and it's going to be a gorgeous day today. Sunny and pleasant with a high around 80 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low 60. Tomorrow, partly sunny and possible showers after 3 tomorrow afternoon. The high tomorrow, 82. Thursday, sunny and 82. And Friday, partly sunny, afternoon showers on Friday, and a high near 80 degrees. And we're up to 68 degrees, and that pretty much wraps things up. So happy you could join us. And special thanks to LaDonna Fishkin, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Peoria, Matt Waugh, CPA, with Gordon Stockman and Waugh, and of course our own Dr. Gene Sidler for bringing us up to date on a big sports story about the Missouri Valley, and of course about the blood pressure medicine as well.
And
we are.
Don't forget, Matt came in today.
And Matt Waugh, CPA with Gordon Stockman. How could I forget that? Well, it is our 250th anniversary, and a little reminder that this is a great country in which we live. God love you, and so do we. Have a great day, everybody. We're living in the promised land, according to Willie Nelson.
And we will make them strong. Bring us your far-run songs, and we will sing along. Leave us your broken dreams. We'll give them time to mend. There's still a lot of love living in the promised land. Living in the promised land. Our dreams are made of steel. The prayer of every man is to know how freedom feels. There is a winding road across the shifting sand, and room for everyone living in the promised land. So they came from the distant isle, nameless woman, faithless child, like a bad dream. Until there was no room at home, no place to run, and no place to fall. Give us your daily bread. We have no shoes to wear, no place to call our home, only this cross to bear. We, all the multitudes, lend us a helping hand. Is there no love anymore, living in the promised land? Sand and room for everyone living in the promised land, and room